this is your new home speaking. I know you haven't moved in yet, but I need some favors. Could you dust the blinds? The dust makes me feel dusty. Also, we could save a lot of money if you bundled your home and car insurance with Geico. It's super easy to do online or over the phone. Last favor, when you move in, could you stick to one aesthetic? The last owner had a weird mix of floral wallpaper and nautical tchotchkes, and I can't have another identity crisis.
Geico. For bundling made easy, go to geico.com today.
This Father's Day, let Dad loose at Lowe's and help get his hands on the perfect tools for dad-worthy projects like the Metabo HPT 18-volt line. He'll love a brushless cordless drill or impact driver for $79 or a 4-piece combo kit for $249. With a lightweight, compact design, these tools go where others can't fit. Dad can shop at Lowe's in-store, online, or through our app. Lowe's, the perfect gift for Dad. Valid through 6/24, U.S. only.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
You are listening to the Voices of Wrestling podcast with your hosts, Joe Lanza.
X out, go listen to some boring podcast where they're afraid of their own shadow. Okay? Don't listen to Joe Lanza, because Joe Lanza's not changing.
And Rich Craich.
Give me a name. Who delivers this guy in a big spot?
Joe, don't yell at me.
In the big spot, who delivers better than this guy?
Stop yelling at me. I agree.
And we are live here on the Voices of Wrestling Flagship Podcast. I'm Rich Craich, alongside, as always, the king of banter, Mr. Joe Lanza. Joe, what's happening?
How are you?
I'm all right. I'm fine.
Great start to the show.
Incredible chemistry. Just that's
high energy.
That is what 10 years of podcasting will do, guys. When you're on that level with somebody. I know your cadence, you know my cadence, and boom, we just hit it off like that. Just immediately, how was your day? Fine. Silence. Boom. That 10 years to cultivate that and create that. So it's not easy, folks. We say it's hard. It takes time, and that was a great example of it right there. So
yes, a high energy.
little Jim Neidhart, Owen Hart, Coco Beware out here, yeah, with the high energy. So,
sir.
Jim, that was the new Hart Foundation, which is...
You are conflating the new foundation with high energy.
Yes.
Those are two, I was going to say, very distinct tag teams, but they're not very distinct at all. They're
Say basic template, yeah. The new Hart Foundation leads me to and this is not at all how we decided we were going to start the show at all. We weren't saying, hey, Joe, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mention high energy, and then we're going to... but I'm going to conflate them with the new Hart Foundation. But... is the new anything in pro wrestling pantheon, especially a tag team, the new blank? Is that like the worst thing you could possibly be? Is be the new blank?
Yes. I have to correct you again. And it's new foundation, not new Hart Foundation.
Oh, I guess that's true. Yeah. Because they wore like pajama pants and stuff, right? It was like
they wore
like Jim Neidhart had like bright green, like MC Hammer pants on, if I remember correctly, right?
They wore the same gear that High Energy wore. That's why I'm saying like New Foundation was the first team, right? They paired Neidhart with Owen Hart, and they wore like the MC Hammer parachute pants and the suspenders. And then Coco took over for Neidhart, and they became High Energy, but it was the same look and the same kind of gear. So that's why I say they're two different tag teams, but I can't really call them two very distinct tag teams. It's basically one of those teams bled into the next, and the look remained the same.
Yeah. They tried to make it pretty seamless, and it was it was seamless in that nobody cared about either. To be fair, yeah. But so to my topic of the news, and like I always remember this, growing up and going back and watching old wrestling and stuff, and there was quite a few of those. You got them a lot in like 96, 97, 98, 99 is like, especially WWE was trying like desperately to get new fans. So you had the new Blackjacks, the new Midnight Express. Like you had all these weird, Bodacious Bob and Bombastic Bart and,
don't forget the New Rockers.
The New Rockers. How could I? Oh my god! What a death sentence the New Rockers was, especially for Marty Jannetty, who is still. And the best part about Marty Jannetty, I think the thing that I always loved about Marty Jannetty the most is that Shawn Michaels turns on him in 1992, right? Kicks him off to the side. He's off and ready. He's ready to go. Marty Jannetty is still jobbing in WCW in like 1998, wearing the same gear, the tassels, the fucking bright. It's like, bro, like Shawn Michaels is already retired. He's had his entire run. He's been a pilled out maniac. He's been the heartbreak kid. He's been fired. He's come back. He's done this. Now he's hurt. Now he's gone. He's retired, and you're still rocking the Rockers gear, which I kind of appreciated, and I think Marty's. I mean. I don't think he takes bookings anymore, but as of, the last decade, he was still rocking the exact same gear, which at a certain point, you can't change at 15 years in, you can't now change. Like, that's kind of his look, but it was pretty pathetic in like 97, 98 when he's coming out to the, with the New Rockers, wearing all the same Rockers gear with him and Al Snow.
Every comeback he made, he still had the Rocker gear, like every time. So yeah, very, very pathetic. I noticed that New Foundation has a slightly higher cage match rating than High Energy. Now, I know that New Foundation had the pay-per-view match against the Orient Express at the Royal Rumble, correct? In 90.
See, was that them or was that? That I don't remember. Was that them or was that the High Energy team? Let's find out.
I'm actually on Cage Match. I don't know why I don't just pull this up.
That's because I thought that was Coco and Owen. But maybe I was wrong.
Let's look it up. I will look up.
There we go. Exciting.
Oh, people love it. People love it.
Okay, no, I was wrong. How did I get to it already before you? Rumble 92.
Yeah, I was already on there. How'd you get to it? No, it was Neidhart and Owen Hart, correct? No, I'm asking. You just said.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, they beat the Orient Express Royal Rumble 1992. That was them trying to recreate the Royal Rumble 1991 opener. One of the matches you always talk about. It's just an awesome standout match. That 91 Royal opener. They tried to do it here, and it was good. They gave him a lot of time. And yeah, it's not as good as the 91 match, but it's pretty damn good.
The 91 match, of course, with the Rockers.
Right.
The Rockers and the Orient Express, but. Was that Rockers Orient Express match with Kato or Sato? It was with Kato also, right?
I think they were both with Kato, yeah, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Sato was long gone by then. Well, maybe not long gone by the 91 match, but Akio Sato was there in 1990 for sure. By 91, I think it was Kato / Paul Diamond / your taxi driver.
Yes. Oh, I was going to say, I hope you remember that story. Yes, that was an incredible story from an old flagship. I don't want to tell it again. The ones that know. If you don't know, I'll bring it up at some point again. But
if you don't know, Rich basically says eat shit. You're never going to.
Yeah. So should I just tell him? Should I just say the story?
Give him the Cliff Notes.
Okay, the Cliff Notes of the story is all right. New Year's Eve, my buddy booked some sort of taxi to take us to the city for some lavish dumb party, New Year's party. Yeah, that's shit that I don't do anymore because I'm too exhausted and too old. But so he sends me a text and says, hey, this limo driver, this guy that's, driving a limo, he says he's an ex-wrestler. He used to wrestle in WWF. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, that's a pretty short list of people. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, what's his name? And he's like, oh, he's not, he gave me his real name. And I'm like, that doesn't ring a bell at all. I don't remember that name at all. As I keep asking, like, what gimmick was he? What did he do? Like, what was he? And my buddies, then it's like, excruciating. It's like 5 minutes between texts and it's excruciating because I'm trying in my mind. I'm thinking, oh man, who's picking us up? You know what I mean? Like Eddie, there's so many different dudes are running through my head of like, oh man, who is going to be this limo driver? We're going to pull up and it's going to be this most incredible, limo ride with fucking, Mike Enos, driving us to the airport or to the downtown hotel or whatever. So I'm like, oh man, what the fuck is going on? I can't wait. And he goes, he's Kato. He said from the Orient Express. And I was like, oh shit. Paul Diamond's our limo driver? Like, that's awesome. I'm like, he's Paul Diamond? And he goes, no, it's whatever his name was. Like, I forget exactly what his name was. And I go, no. Kato is Paul Diamond. So that guy has to be Paul Diamond. He goes, no, he says his name is da-da-da-da. I asked him if he was Paul Diamond. He said he didn't know who that was. And I'm like, oh, what's going on here? This is weird. Like, what the hell? Like, Kato's Paul Diamond. I know it. Like, everybody knows that. So eventually I'm like, all right, don't ask him any more questions. I'm coming. We'll get to the bottom of this. So, because my buddy's a wrestling fan, so he must have started some conversation or whatever. So I get in the limo, and it's not, trust me, Joe, this man was not Paul Diamond. Okay? It was a very different ethnicity, very different everything than Paul Diamond was. So I get in the limo, and I go, so you're Kato from the Orient Express? And he goes, yeah, brother, yeah. And I go, but you're not Paul Diamond. And he goes, I don't know who Paul Diamond is, pal, but I'm Kato from the Orient Express.
Oh, jeez. Did you just humor him and play it off like?
Yeah, well, then I started asking questions and stuff, because then in my mind I'm thinking, man, like, how perverted is this guy? Like, what is going through your head where you are like telling people that you are Kato from the, like, how many people does that work for?
Well, Kato wore a mask, so he figured he could get away with it.
I mean, how many people are like, how many, like, this man runs a limo company or drives a limo or whatever. How many people get in his limo and say they are pro wrestling fans, but then remember Kato from the Orient Express?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's a very small list of people. Like, if he said, I'm Stone Cold Steve Austin, like, they'd probably go, oh, yeah, Stone Cold, I know Stone Cold, or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's the certain demographic of people. Like, there has to be 1% of people that enter his limo, and he says, yeah, I'm Kato from the Orient Express. And they go, oh, yeah, I know, I remember Kato. Like, who remembers Kato?
It's 30 years ago, and it's a prelim wrestler.
Right. Like, I know him because I'm a dork. My friend barely even knew. He was like, yeah, the Orient Express, I think the guy that wore the mask. Like, he didn't even know the specifics, where I'm licking my chops going, oh, man, I can't wait to just, like, I'm going to own this guy. Like, I cannot wait, because he has no idea what's coming into this limo right now. He thinks I'm a mark that's just going to go, oh, yeah, Kato. No, buddy. I know who Paul Diamond is. I know all about Kato from the Orient Express. So then he eventually, after about 20 minutes of him finally realizing that I definitely know that he's not Kato from the Orient Express, and I definitely know that he's not Paul Diamond, he says, yeah, it was one time. Paul Diamond didn't show up, so they gave me the mask, and I wrestled as Kato. And I'm like, okay, maybe, all right, whatever. I let that go. I was like, all right, fine, whatever.
You probably could have pressed him on that as well.
I probably could have, but it was fine. I let him slide on that. So
I got two things here. Number one, that definitely wasn't the Cliff Notes version. Let's get that straight.
I apologize. Yeah,
you once again gave the full version of the story.
Once you get going, it's a good story. So and by the way, 100% not made up. How would I make that up? Because I remember when we first told that story, people said, "Oh, you're making that up." What kind of perverse person am I to make up a story that a limo driver told me that he was Kato from the Orient Express? That's even more perverted than this man telling people that he's Kato from the Orient Express.
Listen, I think it's totally plausible. You got in a limo with some guy who perpetrated himself as Kato from the Orient Express, who took you on a limo ride to your beard barber. I think that's totally plausible. Yes,
of course. Yeah. Well, you got to. I mean, it's New Year's Eve. You got to get a good beard going. Go to the beard barber, of course.
So the Cliff Notes version of that would have been, yeah, I had a limo driver once who claimed he was Paul Diamond from the Orient Express, but it wasn't him. But Rich went for the full version again, which is fine.
May as well.
Because I did pick up on a new detail in the full version of the story, which I've heard like 4 times now. But I got a new detail here. You noted that he wasn't even the proper ethnicity. Was this man Asian?
Well, was Kato Asian?
No. That's my point.
Oh, no. He wasn't. He was like Albanian or something like that. It wasn't. Okay. Whatever Paul Diamond. I don't know what Paul Diamond is. He wasn't Paul Diamond. He
wasn't what Paul Diamond was.
He wasn't Asian, and he wasn't Paul Diamond. He was some sort of like Macedonian Albanian guy or something like that. So yeah, not.
But I thought maybe it was an Asian guy trying to be slick, thinking that Kato was Asian.
Oh, you're right. That would have been a slick move. Yeah, no, this guy was just like, some Albanian dude. So
okay, all right, fair enough. That's Rich's Kato from the Orient Express limo driver story for the third or fourth time in the history of this show.
That many times? Well, whatever.
Got to be the new Foundation match though in '92. The Rockers match got 4 stars in the Observer. The new Foundation match the following year, 3.25. So, to your point, they did try to recreate the magic of that Orient Express opener from the year before. Still an excellent match.
Oh, very good, especially for that time on WWE pay-per-view. Very, very rarely did they get 20 minutes to just go out there and do shit. You know what I mean? And they did.
Yeah, but the Rockers match is a legendary match.
Yes.
That's like. Yeah. That's in the argument of best pay-per-view openers of all time, the Rockers match, the year before in '91. And of course, the Kato and Tanaka version of the Orient Express is Bad Company from the AWA and short run in ECW and whatnot. And then, when Sato moved on from the original Orient Express, they put Paul Diamond had been hanging around WWE for years as a prelim guy and a television jobber, and they never knew what to do with him. They tried. He took over the Max Moon outfit from Conan. They couldn't ever figure out what to do with Paul Diamond, who was a tall guy with a good body, decent worker, and really, I think his most prominent run in WWF was as Kato, as one half of the Orient Express. So, reforming that tag team, because they already had the tag team chemistry and everything, because Paul Diamond and Pat Tanaka were a good tag team long before Orient Express. They had that, like I said, that AWA run and everything. So it was a natural pairing, and it worked out. But yeah, they faced the New Foundation. They faced the Rockers the year before, who became the New Rockers with Marty Jannetty and Leaf Cassidy. Leaf Cassidy, Al Snow coming in as Leaf Cassidy for the New Rockers, a failure. New Foundation, a failure. New Blackjacks, failure. New Midnight Express, failure. That was a well that the WWE dipped into very often in the 90s, and it never worked. You could even say that Smash and Crush didn't really work out when Crush replaced Axe. I mean, Demolition was kind of long in the tooth at that point anyway, to be honest. But definitely their best days behind them. But they didn't bill them as New Demolition.
No. They did a similar thing with LOD as well. Remember, obviously moving Draz, into the team, getting Hawk out of there, getting Draz in there. That did not work out. At all. That was also terrible.
Yeah, that didn't work out. Yeah, that was another bitter failure. So, that was a nice trip down 90s lane there.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's always a tough act, because the problem is, if you are a new something, it's probably that original something was pretty cool and pretty good and pretty memorable. And more times than not, trying to recreate that, 20 years later is not going to work very well. Like the New Blackjacks is not, great.
You know what's funny? The New Orient Express, which weren't billed that way, were probably the most successful.
Absolutely.
One.
Yeah, for sure. No, yeah, you're right. The whole time it was right under our nose. There was a New Orient Express. Yeah.
They just didn't bill them that way. And I think, not really though, because like Demolition, briefly, all three of them were there. Sato, Kato, and Tanaka. I don't know what happened with that, but very briefly, like for one taping or something, they were all together. I don't know if Sato, we're talking 30 plus years now. I don't know if Sato managed them briefly before. No, because Fuji was always there with both versions. But I do remember briefly seeing all three of those guys together, maybe for a taping or two. So that's more similar to Demolition, where Axe, of course, was with Smash and Crush. They wrestled. I don't know if did they wrestle any 6-man tags? I think they did.
There was a few. I'm almost positive there was a few before Edie officially kind of rolled out of the ring and called it a day. But I'm almost positive there were not many. There's probably only like a handful, but there was.
Did they have handicap matches against Legion of Doom? All three of them.
I want to say, yeah. I forget exactly what the matches were, but I know for a fact I've seen a match with all three of them in the ring.
Yeah, what they never did though was Axe and Crush. Axe and Crush, to my knowledge, never teamed in a 2 versus 2 tag.
No, I don't believe so.
It was either the three of them together in a 6-man tag or a handicap match. I'm pretty sure they did handicap matches.
I think because Crush was like literally like just out of wrestling school and pretty terrible, and he would be terrible his entire career, which lets you know how bad he was when he first started. I think a combination of Bill Eadie, who couldn't move, and Crush, who couldn't work, was a bad combination. So they always made sure that Darso was in there to at least get things under control a little bit. So
yeah, so I think that the deal, but I have to make sure because it's going to bother me for 3 hours if I don't. So I'm looking back here in the it looks like the Orient Express and Mr. Fuji faced the Legion of Doom a bunch in handicap matches too.
Brutal. God.
I mean, why even do that? Yeah, they did somehow shows they did Legion of Doom and Ultimate Warrior versus Demolition versus all three members of Demolition. So there's your 6-man tags that you were probably thinking of. I thought
there was a Saturday Night's Main Event or something like that, or a Superstars. Maybe I'm wrong. I swore
that
I've
was
seen
a
them.
it may have been. That was a big house show match, that 6-man tag, Legion of Doom and Ultimate Warrior versus Demolition. They wrestled Madison Square Garden. Maybe you saw that match. Because that was Saturday night's main event. Yeah, you're right. Saturday night's main event. Legion of Doom and the Ultimate Warrior defeat all three members.
Yeah.
Of Demolition.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not nuts.
And then
good.
A couple days later at MSG. I don't see those handicap matches. Those must have been a figment of my imagination. So, anyway, there you go. Axe, Smash, and Crush did team together a few times, and then Axe kind of. I see. You can see right where Axe left because on the house shows, they teamed. Crush and Smash teamed with Mr. Perfect. They teamed with Randy Savage. They had a bunch of fill-ins there for a while, and then, because then Axe comes back. I don't know.
There you go. A lot of Demolition content on Voices of Wrestling today. We just published an article from a new author, John, who actually it's a really cool concept. You'll enjoy this as well. Is he went back to an old Ross report, an old Jim Ross podcast with Bill Eadie, where Bill Eadie was saying that before Barry Darsow was selected as the new Smash, after Bill Colley was, Moondog Rex was obviously the first Smash. Randy Colley, yeah, sorry. And that didn't work out very well because everybody knew that he was Moondog Rex. So they decided, okay, we can't have this guy getting, everybody was just chanting Moondog at him the entire time because he just looked exactly, there was no difference. He just wore kind of face paint. So that didn't quite work. So Bill Eadie in that interview is telling Jim Ross that they gave him 4 or 5 names to select. And he didn't really like any of them. And then eventually he settled on Barry Darsow as like the guy who would fill in and become the new Smash. And the whole article is kind of trying to assess who would have been those 4 or 5 guys that Vince McMahon and WWF would have thought could have been Demolition Smash. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty good thought experiment. So
yeah, the article's a lot of fun. He narrows it down, and I like the people he narrowed it down to. I mean, Steve DeSalvo is a real interesting choice because he was, one of the guys rumored to be coming in the company around that time, and he would have fit the gimmick very well. He was the right size and look and all that. Jimmy Jack Funk was an interesting one, So yeah, he does a good job, and I like it, the method he used to narrow down who it could have been. Bill Eadie's like what, 72, 73 years old or something like that.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Can't he tell us who the 5 guys were?
I know, he's protecting kayfabe. He goes, I'd rather not name names. It's like, bro, most of those guys are dead now. It's like most of those guys are dead or not involved in wrestling, or it's like, it's okay. You could just say Jimmy Jack Funk. Like, no one's gonna care if you say, it was Scott Hall. He was too young and green, and Jimmy Jack Funk, and it's not gonna kill you. But hey, kayfabe, baby. You know what I mean? That's. Well,
this is the same Bill Eadie who.
They won't job to this day.
He didn't want to do a job to the Rock and Roll Express on a PWS show in like 2013. So Pat Buck was like, all right, well, fuck you. I'm not booking you then. And he just pulled him from the show. He's like, I'm not dealing with this.
You're Demolition
This
Smash.
is ridiculous.
You're Demolition Axe, and it's fucking 2013. I'm not putting him over, pal. That's not
on a show that won't make tape.
Right, I'm not doing this.
And you're losing to the Rock and Roll Express. You're not losing to Big Deal Craig Steele and fucking whoever the fuck. You know what I mean? All of those, and you're fucking 60. You're
right,
not
just
getting
do the
another
job.
run.
Just do the JOB, baby.
Okay, you're not getting another run. All right.
You never know when New York's gonna call, though. You gotta stay open if New York calls. So
no one's gonna say, "Oh, hold on a second, I was gonna book Demolition," but.
Here I'm looking through results, and I see here that that Ricky Morton pinned him. So now I'm not booking him because they've lost their aura. Demolition Axe has lost his aura because he's gotten pinned.
Forget that. Get Robert Gibson on the phone. I want to book those guys instead. They clearly have more in the tank because they defeated Demolition in Metuchen, New Jersey on a PWS show.
Love it.
Yeah,
I'm so glad those guys still exist because that we're gonna talk about the new era of wrestlers. As I'm looking at a picture of Johnny Gargano here wearing a Shawn Michaels gear, and I do miss the days I miss the current days of guys that just it's still pretty real to them, and it fucking matters. You know what I mean? I appreciate that a little bit. It'd be a headache to be a booker, but God, I love it as a fan. It's pretty fun. So. But
seriously, he's protecting the identity of guys who, like you said, they're either long out of the business.
Dead,
Most of them don't remember. But
none of those guys would care. How many of those guys are going to go, oh, Bill, come on, man?
I don't think Steve DeSalvo is going to give him a phone call,
right.
and who actually might be one of the ones who's dead, by the way. and be like, hey, man, you're breaking kayfabe. Yeah, they don't care. They don't care, dude. No one cares anymore. It's actually more interesting to know who the 5 guys were than it is interesting to protect their identities at this point. So it's just very frustrating that he won't just give the names. No, Steve Desalvo's still kicking too. He's 72 years old. Steve Desalvo. Strangler Steve Desalvo. Yeah, he's sadistic Steve Desalvo. A lot of
a lot of very wrestler names. A lot of wrestler names. Yeah, the good old days.
A lot of alliteration with Steve Desalvo over the course of his career, who was also brutal. Remember the Minotaur? Do you remember that?
Yes. Not? Yeah. Of course.
Yeah. Yeah, the Minotaur, Steve Desalvo. Yeah, he was another guy who wasn't very good, but he looked great, which is why he got a million chances.
The early Minotaur like headdress thing or mantle, it was just incredible. It was oh my god.
Yeah, the Minotaur. Yeah.
The head was just.
Well, no, he had and he wore like that thing on his arm.
Yeah,
like that weird. I don't know, the very bizarre gimp. Did he wear a head thing, or was that You might be thinking of.
Oh, Mantar wore the head thing. Yeah.
You're thinking of Mantar. Yeah, this was Minotaur. Steve Desalvo. He wore the weird, almost like I don't even know what you would call it, like a thing, a black like leather thing over his arm, almost like a gun, like an over-the-shoulder gun, like what Big Daddy Yum Yum used to wear.
Oh, right. Yeah. I remember. Yeah, I don't know what that thing was though.
Yeah, I don't know what it was either. I think it was supposed to be like he had a powerful arm, like it was like he was supposed to be like a being. Like not of this earth or something.
Right, so he had an armband on. Yeah, well, if you ever look at pictures of him, I'm not sure he was of this earth because that man was yoked. Jesus Christ.
No, I told you, he looked incredible.
Yeah, it's almost too big. It's like that like just absolutely sickly looking like, 90s steroid look or that late 80s, early 90s steroid look that's just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I wonder how much Minotaur is on the network. Probably none, right? Because maybe he was on Saturday Night a couple times.
Definitely Saturday Night. I can't think of any other.
I don't think he would have done any.
He would have been on.
You do any pay-per-view squashes over like Johnny Rich or something? Let me see. Steve Salvo. This is all.
I really don't think so.
All on the run sheet.
Yeah, all we wanted to talk about. The only thing. Okay, so I'm looking at it right now. The only thing I could find is a WCW Power Hour match against Keith Hart. Which actually sounds incredible now that I read it. So,
oh my god, that Keith Hart?
No, I think this it's the Keith Hart from Tennessee, which I do not think is the same Keith Hart.
Okay, so is that the only televised match that man had? I think
so. Otherwise, it shows all house shows.
Thank you, Amelia. That's so sweet.
You're welcome, Daddy.
All right, you going to bed? Yeah. All right, good night. All right. Brought me the Sonic drink.
Oh.
So only one televised match for Desalvo, for Minotaur.
That's all I can see, yeah. Which is what's interesting, though, is he did work a lot of Stampede wrestling. So he could have faced the Keith Hart, but as far as I can tell, I don't see any Keith Harts in here. So
he popped back up in 95. That's weird.
Good Lord.
He
did. Okay, so he faced the real Keith Hart. So glad we got to the bottom of this. I know everybody was dying to get this. April 26, 1986, Steve Desalvo defeats Keith Hart at an event, a Stampede event in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada.
So he beats both Keith Harts.
Yeah, both Keith Harts, yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any televised? Now, really, these are things you do in the middle of the night on your own, not on the air.
Right now. Thousands of people listening. Let's go into Steve Desalvo's cage match and find out.
I want to see if he wrestled WWE on TV at all, but doesn't look like it. Or WWF. Whatever.
Yeah, I don't think so. There's actually, honestly, there's probably there might be some Steve Desalvo on New Japan World. Seen some shots here that he did in 1986. All the Stampede guys made it there. AWA, you might have found him in AWA as well a few times too.
Well, so. I saw him wrestle. Yeah, I definitely saw him wrestle in AWA. That's for certain. I don't even think I saw the Minotaur match in WCW. I just have.
You probably just seen a screenshot or something like that. Yeah. Oh, sorry. So so there was that 95 taping that you're saying. There was a 95 Saturday Night taping that he was in, but he was Steve Strong then. So
yeah.
So yeah, it's only the Minotaur January 26th, 1991. Maybe Monsoon Classic has that one. So as he's re-uploading his site,
that would be the man who would have it.
Yeah, I don't think the network is. I don't think Peacock is uploading any WCW Power Hour anytime soon. So unfortunately,
so I'm going to tell you why I have this Sonic drink. There's a story behind this Sonic drink. So, as you know, I don't grocery shop anymore. I mean, because during COVID, I discovered that you can have, you could pay some geek to do it for you,
right,
and then drive it to your house and leave it at your door for.
Even though you used to be a big fan of it, so this is a big change. Like early Lanza was a big fan of the grocery store.
Love the grocery shopping, but now that I know I could pay some geek to do it, it's tremendous. You go on the app, you pick out what you want. They do all the shopping for you. They leave it at your door. You don't even have to speak to them or look at them. It's tremendous, right? So I've been trying to put a grocery order in for the last 2 days because I'm out of Coke Z's. I'm completely out of Coke Z's. There's no caffeine in this house. Well, there's coffee, but I'm not drinking that sludge. So I've been trying to put a grocery order in for the last 2 days, but there's something wrong with the app, and I can't complete the order. So we haven't had groceries in this house for like 2-3 days because the app isn't working, and I refuse to go to the grocery store as a physical person and do the shopping myself.
So you're done. You're done forever now.
I'm done forever. So until this app starts to work again, we're just not going to have groceries in the house. So I've been, ordering pizzas and, doing what I got to do, eating, whatever's in the back of the freezer. It's real desperate times, and I didn't have any Coke Zero, and, so they brought me a Sonic drink.
It's pathetic. Just go to the store and get your Coke Zero. What are you doing? Come on.
Well, I'm holding out hope that tomorrow the app will work.
Okay, well, is there a date? Is there a moment when you're going to decide, okay, this app's not working again, I need to go to the grocery store? You're just gonna...
Yeah, when we're completely out of food and TLB.
Okay, like when there's no more milk and the kids can't eat. Like right now it's only affecting you really, right?
Well, yeah, right. I say there's no groceries, but there's plenty of food here. You know what I mean? Like it's just food that it's the last of the last. It's like the stuff no one wants to eat. And we're starting to run out of things. Like the last of the bread just got used, and there might be a swallow of milk left. Uh-oh. So it's getting kind of bad. And there's no Coke Z's, So, but look, tomorrow the app might work, and then it'll save me having to go to the store and do it myself.
Right, and you actually, in a way, it's actually a good thing that now that you've cleared out a little bit of the old, everything that you guys had, old stuff, it's now gone. So you're starting anew here. It's sometimes good to give a little space to your groceries.
I think you're dead on. I think once or twice a year it's good to skip a weekly grocery trip just to clean out all the crap in the house.
I do that if I'm going to leave for a trip or something like that. Like I don't go grocery shopping for like 2 weeks before, and I'm like, nope, you got to eat. Like, find something in the fridge, find something in the cabinet, run out. We're not buying anything new. We're not going to the grocery store. I want this fridge. I want nothing. I want like 2 things of Tupperware left in this fridge, and we're done. So
yeah, it's like starting anew.
Yeah, it's good. It's fresh. Yeah, it's nice. It's invigorating because that. Then you got a clean slate, a blank canvas, You
ever have a whatever's in the freezer night? So you have like 3 fish sticks, 2 pizza rolls, an egg roll.
Yeah. Oh, not that long ago. Yeah, I had a samosa, an egg roll, and like
right.
and some sort of like I found cookies that were in there, so I was like, oh, all right, cool, that works. Yeah. So it was just appetizers. It was like 7 different appetizers, all from different regions of the world, all together at once. It was a pretty terrible meal. So
whatever's in the bottom of every bag, sitting in the freezer.
Yeah. So 3 fish sticks, 2 samosas, an egg roll.
And you know what you're doing? And you know what you do? You put it all in the oven together, and bake times for each item be damned. It's all going in there for 20 minutes, and it's either done or it's burnt or it's not done, and that's just the end of it.
25 minutes at 400, we'll see what happens.
Yes, that's it. So it's all getting cooked together, regardless of various cook times. Right now in my freezer, there's a standoff going on in this house, too. I got to tell you about this standoff going on in the house, okay? There is a bag of Raisinets. Are you familiar with the Raisinets?
I am very familiar with Raisinets, yeah.
There is a bag of Raisinets in my freezer, and it's been in there for, I'm going to call it 18 months. Inside of this bag of Raisinets contains 3 total Raisinets in the bottom of this bag.
Uh-huh.
The reason this bag is in my freezer is because my lovely wife, Brittany, enjoys frozen Raisinets. Okay. That's one.
I can see that. That actually sounds pretty good. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. So that's neither here nor there. The point here is at some point, She said, that's enough frozen Raisinets for me.
Right, I'm full. Tapped her belly and said, I'm full.
And put the bag back in with a grand total of 3 Raisinets in the bag. Puts it back in the freezer. Never got back to it. It's been sitting in there for a year and a half. One time, I said, hey, there's 3 Raisinets. Do you want to just eat these? She's like, nah, I'm not in the mood. I'm like, it's 3 Raisinets. Can you just
eat them?
Can you swallow them like aspirin and just get rid of them? And she's like, nah, if you want to, just throw them out. And I said, no, I will not throw them out. I'm going to put them back in this freezer, and we're going to have a standoff. That's what I'm thinking in my head. So I put them back in the freezer, and that is where they still sit to this day. This bag of Raisinets with 3 total. I'm going to take a picture of it later.
Are they visible? Like, you can see that they're there, right? Like, every time she opens the freezer, it's not like they got lost and she forgot about it. They're visible, right?
That's the point of the standoff.
Yeah.
I position the bag right in front of everything so I know she sees it.
So I do passive aggressive things like that too, where it would just be easier for me to throw something away or put something back, but instead I just like place it right in her face, right? I'll put it on a counter, I'll put it here, whatever. It's you got to win some of these, you got to win some of these battles. You got to try at least to win some of these battles, I should say.
I refuse, because the refrigerator and the kitchen as a whole is my domain. I order the groceries, I put them away, I do all the cooking, I do the dishes. Kitchen's my area. I don't touch laundry because I hate it. Laundry's her area. Kitchen is my domain. I refuse to throw out these 3 Raisinets. I want to see how long she will keep the 3 Raisinets in the freezer. So we might be doing a show in 5 years.
And you'll still be talking about these goddamn Raisinets.
And I might be able to update you on this bag. And Raisinets are tiny. How can you just leave 3 in the bag? If there's 3 left and you're full, wouldn't you just pound those down and...
Yeah, that's the way I go. Like the other day I went to go make myself a bowl of cereal, and I had like, when you have like, it was like a half a bowl left of cereal. And I was like, fuck, what am I going to do with this? I just ate the whole thing. You know what I mean? Like, I just was like, all right, well, I'm going to have the biggest bowl of cereal ever then. I don't care.
You got to have the big bowl.
Yeah, and it was like, it was bursting off the sides. It's falling on the floor. The dogs are eating it. And I'm like, well, now I took the rest of the bag. I didn't put a little bag away with, because then the worst thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put that bag away. And then the next day I want a bowl of cereal. I'm going to pour that thing out, slap my hands together, and it's going to pour some little piffy, little dumb, shitty, a bowl of cereal. And I'm like, this sucks. Like, this is garbage. This isn't worth it. So yeah, instead I just had a gigantic bowl of cereal. So
yeah, that's how you can't leave less than 1 serving.
3 Raisinets is pretty ridiculous. I'm very often I'm going to take your side, but this is ridiculous. This is I couldn't possibly take your side any more than I am right now.
I'm going to photograph this with the bag.
They're so small. Like,
it's
just
3.
Just eat them. Whatever.
In fact, it's not even like 3 full-size Raisinets. It's like the Raisinette.
Oh, the little tiny guys? Yeah, the little tiny Raisinette parts. Yeah.
They might not even contain a raisin inside. It's just like 3
chocolate,
little...
Yeah.
Why would you put that back in the freezer? That's my point. Like, I don't understand. And I'm not going to let her win. I'm not throwing it out. It's going to stay in there until she does something with it. She's either going to eat those 3 fucking Raisinets or she's going to throw the bag out. There's also now, I notice, a yogurt cup in the freezer that's been sitting in there for probably 5 or 6 weeks. I don't think that's getting eaten either.
Excuse me?
There's a yogurt cup in the freezer, and it's been sitting in there for like 5 or 6 weeks.
So hold on. So she ate a half of a yogurt?
No. It's a full yogurt.
Oh,
cup.
I see. Okay. I thought this was like a half of a yogurt, and I'm like, all right. This is ridiculous.
She puts half. The kids eat half a yogurt, and she'll put it back in the fridge.
That's
I'll
fair.
find it.
They're children.
It's not fair. Because I'll find it, and I'll be like, I'll find it the next day, and I'm like, why is there a half-eaten Yoplait fucking sick? They're 60 cents. Just throw it in the garbage. There's like 20 cents worth of yogurt left in this thing. We're not paupers. We make a decent wage. Just throw it out. The kid can have a fresh one next time. What are we doing? Keeping 2/3 or 1/3 of a Yoplait yogurt. You know what I mean? It's gross. It starts to smell. The dopey fucking toddler spoon is sticking out of it. Like, no. Just throw it out. It's like, it's like half a pudding cup I'll find in it. It's like, no. Throw the pudding cup out. The 6-pack cost $1. What are we doing here? We don't need to keep a half a fucking snack pack chocolate yogurt fucking pudding. Yeah, so now you got me going because I always find shit like that. That I'm throwing, but the Raisinets are staying there.
No, that one you can't let her win that one.
Yeah,
That's too ridiculous. Yeah, that's okay. So she puts yogurt in the freezer as well. That's an interesting take. I've never done that before.
Well, I don't think she likes to freeze it. I think she likes to chill it before she eats it. Like,
but she forgot it was in there,
and she forgot it was.
Yeah,
in
I
there.
do that with beers. I do that with beers a lot. I'll throw a beer in the freezer because I really want it cold, like a very, very cold in a short amount of time, and then I forget about it, and then that's trouble. So.
Yeah, because she eats the fancy fucking adult yogurt, and we get the dopey kids the little fucking 40.
I'm gonna have to talk TLB. I'm a big yogurt fan. I'll have to talk with TLB about what yogurts. We're talking Greek yogurt here.
Yeah, the Greek
Some
yogurt,
Faye, or
all that bullshit.
Okay,
the yogurt that is way too much money.
Yeah,
why can't you just eat the 40-cent yogurt like a kid?
Because we're adults.
Yeah, she's turning her nose. She's like, I can't eat that. So yeah, then it goes in the freezer, and just sits in there. So I don't know.
All right, well, that was all on the run sheet, of course. I'm glad we did, what was it, High Energy versus New Foundation. Has any new tag team in the 1990s worked for WWF? No. And will Joe win his Raisinette standoff? The answer is probably no, but we'll see. We'll keep track of that. But stuff we are actually going to talk about this week, NXT TakeOver in Your House. We're going to review that show. We're going to preview our always highly anticipated WWE pay-per-view previews. Hell in a Cell coming up this weekend. You guys, I know, are just clamoring to hear about what we think of all the big matches going on this Sunday at Hell in a Cell. ACH announced his retirement. We'll talk about that. Moose versus Kenny Omega was the main event of Impact Wrestling Against All Odds. We'll talk about that main event as well as some other stuff going on in Impact. We'll talk about AEW's Crush and Destroy. We'll also briefly touch on a Joshi match that's getting a lot of publicity all across the wrestling universe this week, and we'll touch on that. Joe and I have both seen it, and we both have some thoughts on it as well. But before we do that, the first topic we wanted to talk about is AEW and WWE live events, some news and notes about that. I mean, an announcement came this week that AEW is going to run the Arthur Ashe Tennis Stadium on September 22nd for their show they're calling Dynamite Grand Slam, which first off, we'll just kind of hit that one. We'll try to hit these pretty quickly, but what do you think of that? I mean, I think that's an incredible venue to run a wrestling show for. I cannot wait to see that, and it's something that I've really loved about AEW so far is that they have found new and unique venues to run all across the country. Whether it's boats, whether it's, even Daly's Place in a lot of ways. There was a time when Daly's Place was a new and unique venue. Trust me, it was true. And now they keep it up here with this Arthur Ashe Tennis Stadium, which I think is really, really cool. Mid-sized stadiums, they found, different college stadiums that have never really been run before. Just different things that have kind of been new and unique and give their show a different look and feel. Most weeks, which is really, really cool. But this one's going to be awesome. This Arthur Ashe Tennis Stadium. They're doing it for a Dynamite. It's a pretty big stadium, but man, if they can get a good crowd for that, that should be a really cool place to watch wrestling.
Yeah, I never even would have thought of Arthur Ashe Stadium to host wrestling. I just wouldn't even have thought of that, but it's a great idea. I mean, full capacity, it holds over 20,000, but they're not going to run it for over 20,000. I think they're running it for 16,000. And if they sell those tickets, I think, what was it that I read? That they could open it up for maybe 18 or 19,000 after that. But you got to walk before you can run. You got to sell 16,000 tickets first. I've been to that building. I've gone to the U.S. Open. It's a great venue for tennis. I've seen tennis there a million times. I used to love going to the U.S. Open. I obviously haven't been there for years because I live in Texas now. When I lived in New Jersey, I used to go all the time. And thinking about being in that building, it really is perfect for wrestling. I'm surprised that no one else has done it or tried it or thought of it. So I think it's a good idea. Now, whether or not they can sell enough tickets to not embarrass themselves is, remains to be seen. We'll see. They're doing okay in some markets. They're doing not so well in other markets for Dynamite. Running 4,000 or 5,000 seat buildings. This is a big building. And, it's I understand it's New York. And they're going to heavily push it and hype it. And I'm sure it'll be a huge card. They can't, run out there some mediocre Dynamite lineup. It's going to have to be a huge, near pay-per-view quality show that they do in a building like that, unless they want to embarrass themselves on national TV. But no, a great idea outside the box, like you said. It's the point that you always make. It's good that they don't run these cookie cutter venues all the time. basketball arenas in every city that look exactly the same.
Right, and that's not. I mean, unfortunately, to WWE's detriment in a lot of ways. Not that WWE would really shake things up too much with venues that they run, and we'll talk about that here in a bit. But they need to run the big arena in every single town, and that makes sense. Like, there's no reason not to when you're going to sell that amount of tickets or whatever. So it makes all the sense in the world. It's just it's a twofold problem. Is like WWE's production has looked the same for the last 20 years or whatever, and the other part too is every cookie cutter hockey basketball arena in America is all exactly the same now. Every single arena with any sort of character, any unique, attributes has basically been either renovated or knocked down, and now it's 3 decks with a video ribbon between the 2 decks, and entrance is always in the same place, the seats always look the same, like nothing has changed between any. I mean, you can go from Cincinnati to Chicago to Los Angeles to Anaheim. I mean, they all look exactly the same with almost no difference. So that's what unfortunately kind of sucks about that is that WWE has to sort of run the big arena in every single city, and they just all look like shit and they all look terrible. So it's actually to AEW's credit that they're not at that level yet, and they can run these kind of interesting, unique, different arenas all across the country.
Well, WWE doesn't do themselves any favors because then they intentionally make everything look the same.
Right.
With the same setup, the same ringside setup, and the same black barricade, and the mats, and the same entranceway. So no matter where Raw or SmackDown is, it looks exactly the same as the place it was the week before. And it really just adds to the homogenized, boring feel of their TV. And I think it would be best served for them to maybe change that up. But look, we've been screaming about the look of WWE TV and how it's largely been the same for, 15, 20 years now, and they just don't care. It's just that's the way they approach things, and I don't think they're going to change that. I think they like that it looks exactly the same every week. They like that consistency that bores the shit out of the rest of us. So, it's good that, again, as I've always said, when it comes to everything AEW, my opinion is if you're doing something differently than WWE is doing it, that's positive.
Yep.
Right down to the look of your TV. Anything they can do that's different than the other guys is what they should be doing. So the fact that their TV looks a little different, and I talked a few weeks ago how the first time they were in Daly's place, I was like, wow, this is a cool venue. They should come back here more often. And little did I know they'd be there for
they'd be there. Yeah, quite a while, yeah.
But I was like, this could be it's in Jacksonville. It has a unique look. It's for whatever, the Fighter Fest or whatever it was that was there. I was like, this could kind of be there, and that ended up being prophetic. It ended up becoming their sort of tentpole location, but not in the way that we ever thought it would have. But yeah, this will be another unique venue, and we'll see. Because aren't they running Newark just a couple of weeks before, or a week before?
Yes,
like
yeah, I forget exactly the date, but yeah, they're running some unique places all across the country.
Okay, so in that part of the country. And remember, I'm from there. You can get away with that, okay? Because WWE would run house shows in the Meadowlands and MSG and Nassau, which are all driving distance from one another. And when they were hot, they would do well on all of them, and they would run them, fairly, I don't know, a week apart necessarily. But so you can do it because there's enough people in that area of the country to support 2 shows a week apart. Okay. And a lot of people in New Jersey won't go to Queens. And a lot of people in Queens don't want to come to New Jersey. That's the other thing too. Like there's a lot of people who are averse to traveling between the city and New Jersey as well. So you can pull that off. But can AEW pull that off right now? Big buildings that close together, something like a week apart.
Yeah, September 15th, they're running Prudential Center. So that's a big building in Newark as well. So.
Big basketball arena.
Yeah.
So, and that was a big show they were going to run right before the pandemic, and it was going to crush it. But don't they already have like 9,000 tickets sold or something for that?
I forget exactly what's going on with that. Yeah, we're as of this recording, we're still getting like news and reports and stuff of these different companies trying to kind of figure it out. Because last week, the report from Dave Meltzer was that ticket sales were pretty slow for both. With AEW doing a little bit better than WWE was, but now it seems like WWE maybe has recovered a little bit, or at least their television tapings are doing well, and it does seem like AEW overall is doing okay in terms of ticket sales. But I guess we'll probably find out a little bit more this week in the Wrestling Observer. I'm sure Dave has been given information by.
Well, it changes daily. I mean, they weren't doing well. Like Miami, they weren't doing well, but Miami's a hard town to draw in, period. But they were doing better, AEW anyway, in some of these cities. Now, WWE, that first run of shows in Texas was doing well, but the follow-up shows for both Raw and SmackDown were not doing well at all, and the house shows were not doing well at all. And in a lot of those arenas, it's they haven't even opened up anything in the upper decks yet because they haven't even sold all of the floor seating yet. And that's for some of the TVs, for some of the Raws and SmackDowns. And the SmackDowns are doing a little bit worse than the Raws, and the house shows are doing terrible. And I know a lot of people are pointing to the ticket prices, but I mean, well, that's on them. I mean, then they need to learn a fucking lesson here and understand.
Thing. That doesn't. I love seeing that. Well, the tickets are expensive. Well, that's a terrible excuse. If I run a business and nobody buys my hamburgers because they're too expensive, I don't go, well, they're just expensive. So sorry, I don't know what I'm like. I lower my prices, right? Like I don't just say, well, I don't know, guys, they're expensive. What do you want me to do? Like, no,
well, how come
that's a negative? That's not good. Like,
well, how come UFC's tickets are twice as expensive and they sell out every show they have?
Right. Yeah, I just went to a nearly sold out White Sox game a few days ago and paid much more than I paid 2 years ago to go to a White Sox game. So
how come boxing has people hanging from the rafters, the Canelo fight and everything else? I mean, so I don't want to hear it.
Well, I'm sure these NBA playoff games, including this one that's going on right now with a gigantic sold out crowd, I'm sure those tickets were really, really cheap as well. Really just bottom of the barrel tickets.
So I mean, and they didn't have any problem selling SummerSlam tickets. SummerSlam's doing great.
Yeah, SummerSlam and Money in the Bank have done really, really well. I know Money in the Bank has still got a few tickets available for the most part. So yeah, people are going to pay premium prices or pretty high prices to go to a pay-per-view, to go to a Money in the Bank and go to a SummerSlam, but yeah, you're run-of-the-mill house show, like not so much, yeah.
Or which is kind of set me up for the next point I'm going to make, for your shitty TV that sucks that nobody likes. That's the problem here, okay? The pay-per-views are doing well. SummerSlam killed it. Dynamite is doing better than Raw and SmackDown. It's because Raw and SmackDown stink. Who wants to pay $300 for a front row ticket to go to a SmackDown taping where half of the show is going to be Roman and the Usos doing community theater on the big screen?
Oh, I can't imagine. I mean, I swore off going to Raws. I forget the last Raw that I went to was the one. You might remember this one. It's the one where they teased that CM Punk was going to come back, and then Heyman came out to his music, and that sort of. I don't know if you remember that one. It was back in 2014 or something like that. I forget exactly the year. And it was terrible. It's just an awful experience to be live in that arena for 3 hours of taping. And it's awful. It's a terrible live experience. Just absolutely horrendous live experience to try to go to one of those TV tapings. So yeah, I when I left that, I left the Allstate Arena on that day, I said, I am never going to another Raw, SmackDown, or anything. And honestly, I went to a Dynamite. That wasn't really the best time either. Like I went to Revolution. That was incredible. But yeah, I went to a Dynamite and it was kind of the same thing. I was like, I think I'm done with TV tapings in general. I find no interest whatsoever in going to live TV tapings. So,
but it isn't even that. Like, yeah, TV tapings are fucking miserable. I'm right with you. I'll never go to one again.
But Raw TV tapings in 2021. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but Raw or SmackDown right now.
Right, that's got to be. Yeah, it's not much confidence in going to a TV taping for SmackDown right now. So
I mean, that tells you right there that people, it's like they're buying the pay-per-views because they feel like they're going to get value out of that expensive ticket by going to SummerSlam or going to, what was the other one you said was selling well?
Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank.
Yeah, because like, all right, this is a pay-per-view. I'm going to get action. Okay, I don't have to look at the fucking video board for, a third of the 2 hours that I'm sitting there for SmackDown, which is what, which is what the TV is right now. It's and Raw is just atrocious. It's so bad. SmackDown has no roster. SmackDown has like 12 male wrestlers and 4 or 5 female wrestlers on the roster right now. It's just completely built around Roman and the Usos cutting promos on each other in the back while Paul Heyman makes goofy faces. Who's paying for that? Especially these premium prices. So, maybe they'll lower the prices, or maybe, they won't care if they don't open up the upper decks and they just want to make that money back and charge the premium. I don't know. It seems like they've overpriced the market. AEW, it seems like it's going to depend on the town. Gerard from the site, he's in the No Dopes chat room. It was 9,000 tickets sold in Prudential Center. 2,000 people have asked for refunds. Okay, so they've still got 7,000 tickets out there, presumably of people who are going to show up. So Prudential Center, even if they don't sell another ticket, they can make that look okay on TV. But you have to figure as we get closer to that, they'll probably crawl up and at least sniff 10,000 minimum. They could get 10,000 if they've got 7,000 already. They had 9,000 originally. maybe some of those people who asked for refunds, now that the show's happening, will rebuy the tickets. I think they could do 10,000. The question is the following week.
Right, because then you're asking, you're not asking the same people, but you're asking the same overall general metropolitan region to also come back now another 2 weeks and not 10,000, I mean presumably even more than that come to the Arthur Ashe Stadium. So that's tough.
And again, you can do it in that part of the country. You can, but it doesn't mean it's still not a challenge. The hardcores are going to go to both. The hardcore AEW fan is going to go to both of those shows.
Did you say that Miami was not doing well for AEW, or has it started? That's
what
well
I had
again?
Heard. If you have new information,
No. Again, I was going to make a general point about that. Is that it's not, obviously you can't compare it exactly to the the New York, New Jersey region, because that's just completely different. But I do wonder if there's something to be said that a lot of the people that live in Miami that would presumably go to that show have at some point just said, "Oh fuck it, I'll go to Jacksonville for a show, or I'll do a day trip or something like that."
I'll make the long ass drive to Jacksonville.
Right, and maybe they've already been to an AEW show. Maybe they've gotten their fix in or a little bit, and then they're coming to town. And it's like, but Miami's a tough town for anything, because you have to compete with. It's fucking Miami, and there's plenty of other stuff to do in Miami besides go to a wrestling show. So,
I mean, even pro sports teams that play in Miami have struggled to draw in Miami, even when they're good.
Right.
I mean, it's always been a struggle.
Yeah, so I don't know. It could be one of those things. It could be, the general metro giant area has just said, fuck it, I'll make the drive, or I'll make the the quick flight or whatever to Jacksonville, or it's Miami and it's a tough venue to run anyway. So.
Yeah, But yeah, it's going to be interesting to track. I mean, we all thought that when the pandemic ended, people would be real hungry to go to things, and they've been hungry to go to some things, but apparently not wrestling. So it seems like the big ticket events, though, your pay-per-views, your big boxing events, your NBA playoff games, things like that. Some of these regular season baseball games are killing it too, though. I mean, the Dodgers just had 40,000 people in Dodger Stadium the other night for their first full capacity game. So, I mean, I guess that was a gimmick too, because it was their first full capacity. So your big ticket events, people are selling them out, but your rank and file games, like, Reds versus Brewers on a Wednesday night, there might be 12,000 people there. They're not packing them in every night, for these regular season games. But, I guess for AEW and WWE, these television tapings are sort of your regular season games. Whereas your pay-per-views and maybe your special events going to New York area for the first time are doing better because those are seen as big ticket events. Yeah. I don't know.
No, I think that's there's probably something to that. And I think it's just in general. And I think there's just so much. I mean, now for all of us, it's like the world is reopened again, and you really have to kind of think about, okay, what am I going to do? Who am I going to go see? What am I going to do? There's all this stuff that's opened up to you that you probably have not done in a year and a half or whatever. So, and I think that speaks to your larger point about wrestling is it's like, all right, look, I'll pay, oh my God, I haven't gone to a White Sox game in years, so I'm going to go to that. I haven't gone to an NBA playoff game in a long time. I haven't gone to, this or that or the movie, all that sort of stuff. And you're thinking of all the stuff that you haven't done. And wrestling is it's competing with that. It's competing with everything. I mean, everybody now can do anything they want to do, and they haven't been able to do that in a year and a half. So yeah, if you're not a premium, if you aren't seen as like a kind of a premium entertainment option, it's going to be tough. You're competing with everything. You're competing with life. Like the people aren't bored of anything right now. Everything is new. Hey, I haven't seen this person in years. I haven't been to this bar in years. I haven't been to this city and I haven't traveled. I haven't done this. There's so much that people haven't done that. Yeah, you're competing not only with other entertainment properties and not only other sports, but like life. Yeah, you're competing with everything. So it's you have to be premium. You have to really bring it, and I think that's probably why we're seeing SummerSlam and Money in the Bank and those sort of things that are okay. This is a big time event that I know I'm going to see big time matches and big time people or whatever. But yeah, your regular season game, your just lowly last place teams facing off with one another, MLB game or your AEW Dynamite taping or Raw taping. Like I don't know. Yeah, I want to spend $100 to go to that when there's so many other things I could be doing with my life right now.
Yeah, so I guess it's just something to track moving forward. And I'm real interested to see how those two shows a week apart in the same sort of metropolitan area do. But are you surprised that only 2,000 people asked for refunds this whole time?
A little bit, yeah. That's strange. I mean, I wonder if there's just people that just forgot or didn't get. But I feel like I definitely had concert tickets and stuff that I like. I asked for refunds. I was like, I don't know, man. Like, am I ever going to go to the show again? So yeah, I don't know. Like, I find it hard to believe that there'd be that few of people that would say, hey, yeah, give me my money back. I don't know. That's strange. Yeah, it's a very low percentage.
You ready for a tremendous segue?
Yeah, go ahead.
NXT staying in the Capitol Wrestling Center.
Oh, yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Going on the road. So, which
God. This TakeOver show. Oh God, I don't know how many more of these I can do. I just don't. I don't know how many more takeovers I can do in the Capitol Wrestling Center.
Wasn't that bad, right?
It was an okay show. It's just, oh my God, it's so. The atmosphere is horrendous. It's so loud. It's just so bright. I'm just sick of Vic Joseph screaming at me. I'm sick of the Glamazon screaming at me. I'm sick of Wade Barrett screaming at me. I'm sick of wrestlers cosplaying as other famous wrestlers, or actual famous wrestlers, I should say. I'm sick of guys getting run into the barricades. I'm sick of 1,000-year-old Chinese women killing people. There's just it's tough. It's a tough watch these days.
It's just NXT just feels like overproduced, manufactured. There's no charm. There's no heart. It's just a juiced up work rate version of Raw and SmackDown is what it is. And yet, is it time to apologize to Mauro Ranallo? Because it sure seems like screaming announcers is a directive in NXT.
Yeah, I don't know. What did he kind of start it? Did they kind of realize, hey, this is good and we need to do this more? Or is it chicken or egg? I don't know. I don't know. But
because the three dopes they have in there now just will not stop screaming. And Wade Barrett did not do that on Power. He just called matches. So that's not his style. I mean, we've heard him call matches before. Yeah. So I kind of feel like the screaming announcers is part of the whole vibe that they want down there. It's not good.
It's so not good. It's really it's unlistenable. It's gotten me to the point where I think I might be better off just muting the takeovers. And it's like been a joke for a while but I mean it's gotten worse. It's gotten so bad. And how many times, anytime they go outside the ring, because they're screaming so fucking much, you hear this like feedback loop because like Vic Joseph is yelling and the camera mics are picking up his yelling while his mic is picking up his yelling. It's like from a production standpoint, it's not even good anymore. The yelling it's a detriment to the production because they're yelling so much.
Well, then they have like 100, then they have a couple hundred fans in there that are genuinely reacting.
Yeah, they don't give a shit though. They're hitting and if you think the fucking cheer boo buttons are going away, you are so wrong.
Right, because on top of that, you've got the announcers screaming, you've got the few fans that are in there making crowd noise, and then they're still piping in crowd noise too. And it's just this explosion of annoying sound when you watch NXT. I may have said it last week, I can't remember, but I watch NXT every week, and sometimes I have to take a break, like halfway through the show. I'm like, I can't. This show's exhausting to watch. It's just a sensory overload. I know it sounds weird, and it's just a TV show, but I think you understand what I mean. Like, it's just like, I need a break from them. Yeah, sometimes I'll mute it. I just need a break from it. It's like, it's so overwhelming, NXT sometimes. But I think that's the vibe that they're trying to create, and I think if that they like this Capitol Wrestling Center, and I think that they like that they can control that type of atmosphere, and I think they want, and all this stuff that we're complaining about, I think they like it and they want the show to feel.
Oh, they have to. I mean, there's no way that this isn't controlled. I mean, this is exactly the way they want it to be, and that's actually what makes it a little bit worse for me. Whereas the Mauro thing just felt like he was just organically screaming because he was excited or whatever, and it got annoying and it became a little too much. But it was kind of a meme at a certain point. But at least you had him screaming and the other guys were a little bit more low key, and it just, you could sell that this man was excited about what he was watching, and largely what he was commentating on was pretty damn exciting. So we get it, but yeah, it is clearly turned into just like you said, just overly every second of TakeOver is just like WWE, just like Raw, just like SmackDown, just like everything, and maybe even to a worse than those. It's just everything is just, it's done for, just there's noise and there's lights and there's colors and there's screaming and it's too much. It's so much, and it's just a completely overwhelming inorganic product that just feels devoid of any actual genuine emotion. It's you're watching things do something while a bunch of people are screaming at you. It's so bizarre.
And while they're screaming and yelling and trying to make everything feel super important, nothing feels important.
No.
Nothing feels meaningful. I watch these takeovers now, and they do nothing for me because I couldn't possibly give a shit who wins or loses any of these matches. It's just they exist. I know that technically I'm watching quote-unquote good wrestling, but it's impossible to have any emotional investment. And then it's like you're kind of just glazed over, dead behind the eyes watching this.
No,
stuff.
it's true because I try to when I'm watching an NXT or something like that or watching a major show, I try to go on to Grapple or try to log my star ratings. When it was, I don't have any star ratings for any of these matches because when they were done, I was just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Was it good? I think so. I don't know. I didn't really feel any, I don't know what I'm watching. And I'm not playing on my phone either. Like I'm trying to focus because that's what I do. I try to not play on the phone. I try to just sit there and focus. When they're done, I'm just like, I don't know how I feel. I don't know if I like that match or not. I don't know what I'm watching anymore. It's so strange. And then I'm trying to think, okay, what do I give, what stars do I give LA Knight and Cameron Grimes? And it's like, I don't know. Like, what do I don't know what to do with it anymore. So I just didn't. I just said, fuck it. I'm not giving these matches star ratings anymore. It doesn't. It's so strange. It's so weird. I can't believe we've gotten here. From 2 years ago, even 2-3 years ago, when NXT takeovers were fantastic, and we used to come onto the show every single month and say, or every single quarter, and say, never ever bet against an NXT takeover. It's the safest bet in wrestling. Is that an NXT takeover for 2 hours, you're going to see one of the best wrestling events you'll see that quarter or that month or that season or whatever. And it was true for years. It was true. And now I'm watching this thing and I'm like, dude, I have no thoughts about anything. I have no reactions to who won or lost, no reaction to what's going to move ahead in the story, no reaction to who's being pushed and who's doing what. It's just like, who cares? Whatever. It's just something. It's just things. It's just things happening. As I said, it's things happening in a warehouse while people yell at you. And I guess it kind of resembles wrestling at times.
So inauthentic, all of it.
It's wild.
Just so inauthentic. As an average takeover, nothing was bad, but nothing was really great. And I guess, was the main event great? I don't know. Maybe you thought the main event was great. I guess it was great in a vacuum. I don't know.
Right. It looked so. And I've said this a lot with WWE events lately, especially with main events. It was like it looked and felt and was wrestled like a good WWE main event was. But I don't know if that's good anymore. You know what they're going for. All the spots, exactly what's going to happen, but is that good? It's just like it's a template for what they consider a good match or what people kind of go, wow, that was good. Yes. And it's like, I don't know, I guess it was, but like
the whole package, including the matches, is almost like a carefully constructed idea of what they think a good wrestling show is.
Yeah.
And they just kind of put it together like Legos, and and as a result, it just feels completely inauthentic. Okay, we have to have a lot of moves and constant action and high work rate. And we have to have our announcers screaming at the top of their lungs because this is the most exciting thing they've ever seen. And we have to have all kinds of flashing lights. And we have to have piped in "this is awesome" chants to get the fans that are there to chant "this is awesome." And it's like they think these are all the elements of a great show. But the thing is, NXT used to get all that stuff organically.
Right, without you hitting a button to do it.
Without carefully putting everything together and manufacturing everything like a television show. But it's like father, like son. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. That's what the main roster is now. It's a manufactured fake bullshit facsimile that barely resembles wrestling anymore. And that's kind of what's happening with NXT now, except Triple H is insistent on he's more insistent on following sort of like an indie template of indie style work in the matches as opposed to the main roster, where the matches are a little bit different. But the idea is the same: to manufacture what you think people want to see in a wrestling show, and nothing can just be organic or natural. Nothing comes across organic and natural. It's that same main roster thing. Everyone has the same entrance every time they come out, and you have to hit the same beats with your entrance. And they rehearse that shit 1,000 times over and over. The matches on these takeovers are probably heavily rehearsed, at least with some of the more inexperienced people. It's just all carefully manufactured, inauthentic shit. And eventually that starts to come through. And NXT never used to be that way. It used to just be, we know how it was. It felt completely different than the main roster. And that was a good thing. And, now it's just a really weird show to watch. I can't say that I ever hate it, but I can't say that I ever really enjoy it.
It fits this weird spot where I don't think this takeover, nothing was bad on this takeover. I can't honestly say that anything that I saw in this takeover was bad, that I thought was truly bad or truly funny or truly, there was nothing like that. But it's also just it's like you said, so inauthentic and so devoid of true emotion and so devoid of what I love about pro wrestling, which is in some ways kind of the the thinking on your feet, the adapting to a crowd, there's so much that goes into making a great wrestling match. And they have an idea of what makes a great wrestling match, and largely they do a lot of the things that are in the context of a great wrestling match. But it's devoid, like you said, it's devoid of anything that truly makes it great wrestling, that makes this art form so interesting and so unique and so fun. And at the end of the day, it's I don't know that it's somewhere between good and bad, and it's not boring either. It's just I don't know. I feel like I'm just being brainwashed. When it's over, I feel like I haven't blinked in 2 hours, and I just kind of go, I snap out of it and go, oh, okay, now I can move on with the rest of my life, because it's just this weird, I don't know what it is. It's so indescribable these days of what the hell TakeOver is.
Well, I guess let's go through these matches.
It's like waterboarding for wrestling fans. It's fucking ridiculous. Anyway, all right, let's do this. All right. Opener was the NXT North American title match and the NXT Tag Team title match. The 6-man tag team winner-take-all match. Bronson Reed and MSK, who were the North American and the NXT Tag Team champions going into the match. And they faced Joaquin Wilde, Raul Mendoza, and Santos Escobar. They got the win. Guys did stuff. It was kind of good. I don't know. What else do I say about this?
I mean, it's like I said last week, we could probably review this show before it even happens, right? And I think I even said last week that this was going to be a high-energy opener. You knew it'd be the opener. I mean, that was a lot.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's going to be a high-energy opener with lots of moves and real exciting and a lot of fun, and that's exactly what it was. I mean, I can't sit here and say it was some kind of great match and I ever want to revisit, but, this was exactly what I thought it was going to be. The people who I thought were going to win won, and, I don't know, like a 3.25, 3.5 star high energy opener. It's exactly what I thought it'd be last week.
Yeah, it's just these are 6 super super talented guys, and it's just it shows just what a shame that this is what NXT has turned into, because in any normal scenario these guys could probably have a very very similar match, a really really good match, maybe even a better match, but it's just it's done in the context of NXT, and it hits all the same beats that the match is going to hit, all the same things that the match is, things are going to happen, and it sucks, because you have no doubt in your mind that these 6 guys could sit down and come up with a great match on their own. It's just it's.
I feel like this match wasn't really the problem on the show though. Like this is almost how you want a show like this.
No, this one was fine, and it's going to get a lot worse here with this next match, Xia Li and Mercedes Martinez. So now for a moment here, Joe, NXT was like its old self. Because the story of the match that we were told in the promo package is that Xia Li 4 years ago was in the women's, the Mae Young Classic or whatever, right?
Yes.
And she faced Mercedes Martinez.
Correct.
Mercedes Martinez beat her ass and made her tap out in the middle of the ring.
Xia Li's first ever professional wrestling match.
Right.
I don't know if they added that to the story, but
I forget if they did or not. But regardless, Mercedes Martinez whooped her ass because she was better.
Right.
So Xia Li now says, I've been thinking about that moment for the last 4 years. And now I'm going to prove to you that I'm going to beat you because I'm better than you now.
Sounds pretty cool.
And I was like, hell yeah, let's go. And that was that's all they showed you. So if you just jumped into TakeOver and this is your first time, you haven't seen any NXT, you haven't seen anything, you're like, well, fuck yeah, let's see what this Xia Li girl's got. She's been training 4 years for this moment. Let's see what she's got. Then she comes out and she's accompanied by Bo and Mi Ying and a fucking 1,000-year-old Chinese woman, and you're like, what the fuck is going on here? But that, even, other than that, it's fine. They go in there and they have a wrestling match, Joe. And for 7 minutes, they have a wrestling match, and Xia Li wins. Right?
Right.
And you're like, all right, there we go. That it made sense. She trained, she got better. After 4 years, she learned, she perfected her craft, and now she's gotten revenge over Mercedes Martinez. Perfect, good. We're done.
Who's like 40 and is putting over the younger talent.
I'm like, there we go. Wrestling. This is
That's
good. Wrestling
pro
101. It was perfect. And then in the next 2 minutes, they just say, fuck you. If you thought we were actually pro wrestling, fuck you. We're not pro wrestling. We're going to show you. Because what happens then is Mercedes Martinez just beats up Xia Li, which is like, great. Okay, great. I got my win. Well, now I just beat your ass. Bo comes down. She beats up Bo. But she's no match, Joe, for Mi Ying, who then kills Mercedes Martinez with her deathly smoke.
She's killed many wrestlers now. She's killed several.
What's going to happen at the end of the show where William Regal resigns, or at least says change needs to be... I mean, he has not spoken yet for Caden Carter's murder. I mean, this guy has not served... Nobody's questioned him about this.
Casey Catanzaro's dead, I think.
Yeah, right. Like, nobody has said anything. So they had something great for 8 minutes. It was like Xia Li lost to Mercedes Martinez when she was young and not ready and bright-eyed and bushy-tailed or whatever, but that's okay because she's back now. 4 years later, she's better. Mercedes Martinez is older. Xia Li beats her, proves over the course of those 4 years, I become a better pro wrestler, and I am now better than you were before. And you're like, boom, there we go, we got it. And then we have Mercedes beat her up immediately after, which is great. The old classic WWE, no
one gets over.
Right, nobody could possibly get over. We can't let Xia Li be over for more than 15 seconds without getting her ass kicked. So we have to do 50-50 fucking bullshit booking. So we do that, and then a 1,000-year-old Chinese woman murders Mercedes Martinez.
Yeah, yeah. And see, NXT used to do this stuff right. The old NXT, Xia Li would have won the match, and that would have been the end of it, right? And then maybe Mercedes Martinez, goes to SmackDown or something. But this isn't the old NXT. This is Yellow Raw. So you got to have Mercedes get her heat back so nobody gets over. And then you have to do the fucking magical, mystical fucking wizard shit because you have to have that on every show now. You got to have Alexa Bliss doing her bullshit. And aren't you so thankful we don't review Raw? I mean,
God, I know.
Could you imagine?
I watch GIFs and I'm just like, oh my God.
It's just so far removed from anything that a normal person wants to watch. It's just when they watch pro wrestling. But, so now we have that kind of bullshit in NXT too with, the old lady, the 1,000-year-old lady killing people with her breath. So the fuck you want me to say? It's
cool.
Junk. It's just junk. I don't have any other deep analysis. It's just garbage, and I have no interest in it.
Yep. There you go. It is garbage, and I have no interest in it. Well, this one wasn't that garbage. I kind of enjoyed this. WWE $1 million title ladder match here. LA Knight versus Cameron Grimes. I had an expectation of what this match was going to be going in, and I would say that these dudes blew away my expectations. These guys worked their asses off in this match. What do you think of this?
I thought it was interesting because it wasn't your typical WWE ladder match, which was just set up a stunt, do a stunt, sell. Set up a stunt, do the next stunt, sell.
Right. The one that we've seen them do 15 times over the last year.
Yeah. This was more like a ladder match of old where it wasn't built around just one stunt after another. There were a couple of nasty looking stunts. And interestingly enough, Eli Drake didn't take any of those big bumps. It was Cameron Grimes taking all those big bumps.
To be fair, he did. So the one that he didn't mean to take was when he did that neck breaker onto the ladder.
Yeah.
Which is pretty sick. And it wasn't meant to hit him, but it ended up, he had his elbow on it, and you could tell he was not very happy about it.
Yeah.
He went, fuck, as his elbow was hurt, so.
Yeah, but every spot that involves someone falling 15
Oh, yeah, no, yeah. LA Knight ain't doing that shit, baby.
Hell no. Hell no.
Paid by the bump?
Nope. That was all Cameron Grimes. Right. So they did 2 or 3. They only did 2 or 3 of those, to be fair. And it's like, maybe it wasn't as dynamic and crazy and over the top as most WWE ladder matches, but I kind of enjoyed this. I didn't think it was great or anything, but I enjoyed it.
This felt like, and I'm not using this comp. I'm not using the direct comp, but it felt a lot more like in the pantheon of ladder matches. If we're talking WWE ladder matches, this felt more Razor and Shawn from WrestleMania than it did any of the things that they've done over the last 10 years or whatever. Which is like you said, guys do crazy stuff all the time, but like it was a match that had a ladder in it, and sometimes the ladder was utilized as a weapon, but it wasn't utilized just to be a platform for stunts. And that's something that WWE ladder match, people get up on top of the ladder and do crazy shit off of it. And that's what the whole. But this was like LA Knight just used the ladder as a weapon. Decided, hey, I got this ladder in here. Fuck it, I'm gonna hit you with it, or I'm gonna drop you on it, or I'm gonna do a body slam on it. I'm gonna do a neck breaker on it. So that was kind of cool. It felt like those classic old ladder matches more so than a stunt show. And I kind of appreciated it. This one felt like a fight, and it's silly that, they're doing it over the $1 million title or whatever, and Ted DiBiase and all that, all sort of stuff. But I mean, honestly, I think this is my favorite match of the entire show, which I did not expect LA Knight and Cameron Grimes to be my favorite match of the entire show. But this one felt the closest to pro wrestling for me. So that definitely won it for me.
They, if they did one stunt show ladder match per year, I'd probably really love it. I mean, when they were just doing Money in the Bank every year at WrestleMania, wouldn't you look forward to seeing who the participants would be?
Yeah.
And like, oh man, Evan Bourne is going to be in it this year, or Shelton Benjamin again. You'd be all excited about it because they did it once per year. And then you can give me the overloaded stunt show once per year, and I'm gonna really enjoy it. But we've done the math. I mean, when you're doing 10 to 15 of these a year, I mean, it's crazy. You become numb to it. It's not impressive anymore. It's just annoying. So this was a nice little change of pace.
Then we had the NXT Women's Title match, Raquel Gonzalez versus Ember Moon, another just horrendously booked match in a lot of ways. So what I love about this one. So you have Ember Moon, and obviously Shotzi Blackheart is does not come out with her because she's quote unquote injured. So Raquel Gonzalez has Dakota Kai out with her. Dakota Kai interferes about 27 times in this match, and it's decently worked, I would say. It's not great. It's probably the low end of your NXT Women's Title matches on takeovers, but it's okay. There's nothing, horribly wrong with it. I just thought the booking was, just so hilarious because Dakota Kai interferes like 17 different times. Finally, after time 18, Shotzi has seen enough. She's ready to come out here and settle the score and even the odds for Ember Moon. So Shotzi comes out there. She chases Dakota Kai off. And then Raquel Gonzalez pins Ember Moon immediately after that.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know. This was just a match.
What? So Ember Moon survives all these run-in attempts from Dakota Kai.
Yes.
18, 19 of these. Finally, Shotzi has seen enough, comes in, evens the odds, and then Raquel Gonzalez hits her moves and pins Ember Moon immediately afterwards. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Why?
No, I mean,
come on.
I didn't hate it or anything, but did this match do anything for me? No. A little placeholder defense. I mean, eventually they're going to split those two up, and it's going to be Dakota Kai and the big girl, Raquel, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was her other name? I finally stopped calling her.
I don't know. I've only said Raquel. Yeah, I don't remember what her other name was.
I don't even want to know her other name because I just now
just a week ago got Raquel Gonzalez. Yeah.
Yeah. So Reina Gonzalez.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm going to start saying Reina Gonzalez over and over again. But I have nothing to add. You summed it up. It's a dumb little TV style match. There's nothing wrong with it. It wasn't bad, but yeah, I don't know. That's why this was like an average takeover. There wasn't, didn't have that great takeover match. And it had a bunch of stuff that was, either pretty good or just kind of okay.
Right. And then your main event, which resembled a good wrestling match, but I just absolutely fucking hated it on every single level. NXT title, Fatal 5-Way. Karrion Kross retains the title, defeating Adam Cole, Johnny Gargano, Kyle O'Reilly, and Pete Dunne. That's 3 wrestlers I really, really like. 3 of guys that I absolutely would consider all-time favorites, top 50 guys in my entire life, and I just did not give a shit about any guy in this match.
Who's one you're leaving out? Cole?
Yeah, I'm not a big Cole guy.
So this match is interesting because, all right, they're giving Karrion Kross the mega push. It wouldn't be my choice, but they're giving him a mega push, and I think they've done a good job pushing him. I mean, he's dominant. He beats up Keith Lee, he beats up Finn Balor. They put him in here with 4 other guys who are top guys in NXT. And the story of this match was just Karrion Kross beating the living shit out of these 4 guys and overcoming all 4 of them at every turn. And every now and then, Karrion Kross would sell on the floor for a few minutes so that the little guys could go in there and do their moves, right? And then Karrion Kross would recover and come in and throw everybody around again. This was the kind of match you would book if if those 4 guys were then leaving the territory, right? Because the dominant champion overcomes all 4 of them and basically fucking dominates them whenever he was in a one-on-one situation with any of them. And they had to dogpile him like, Andre the Giant wrestling 4 guys at once, 5 guys at once, and he's just flinging them everywhere. And I mean, that's what it seemed. That's how this match was built. So it made those 4 guys look weak. So this is the kind of match layout you would do if those 4 guys were leaving the territory and you were going to continue to push this dominant champion. The problem is we all know that those 4 guys are not leaving the territory. We all know that those 4 guys are probably going to be in NXT moving forward for the next few years. They never move anybody out of NXT anymore. Okay? So this was not the kind of match or match layout I would do if you're going to be counting on Adam Cole and Pete Dunne and Kyle O'Reilly and who was the other guy?
Gargano, Kyle O'Reilly, Pete Dunne.
Of course,
Cole.
Gargano, who never fucking leaves.
I know.
So it's like, I don't know. Wouldn't you feed cross people who are leaving, like Balor and Keith Lee? That all makes sense to me. Feeding him 4 guys and he's able to overcome them, but these are your stalwarts that we know are never leaving doesn't make any sense.
It's the thing that it plagues all of WWE right now. They did it with Brock where it was like, all right, well, he's beat everybody now who comes up, and it's like, oh, nobody. We don't really have anybody for him. Okay, great. They do it they did it for Roman Reigns for years and years and years, and they've done it yet again on SmackDown with Roman Reigns, where he just has beaten everybody now, and it's like, okay, well, now who's next? And they're like, I don't know. We don't really have anybody.
And fans are all waiting around for The Rock and John Cena. What does that tell you?
Yeah, exactly. And
they know that there's no one there.
Right, and they're doing it here now as well, because he went out there and just defeated every regular roster member that's a upper mid-carder to main eventer, and yeah, what the fuck is next? Other than maybe somebody comes from Raw and SmackDown and face him, but like, yeah, none of these guys, they're done. These geeks are done.
He beat all 4 of them.
Yeah, he beat them, stacked them up and beat them. Like,
how about going through them one by one instead of beating them all at once like that? And he really, the way it was laid out, was just flinging them around. Like he wasn't even tested, except when they would jump him like 2-on-1 or something. So again, I appreciate you're giving someone a push. Okay, that part works for me. What doesn't work is, again, this is what NXT used to be, is these 4 guys would be gone now. And they move someone up from the fucking warehouse or whatever the fuck, right? But we know these guys aren't going anywhere. And we know Johnny Gargano has been on like 30 takeovers.
Which they bring up all the time, which is not good. You don't want to be on takeovers all the time. Like, that's not not a stat to be proud of.
And you're going to need these 4 guys to still be in the mix because they're not going anywhere. So what does a match like this accomplish? Nothing. This is now full-on yellow main roster because the roster never changes. Okay? It's booked just like the main roster where it doesn't fucking make sense, the shit that they do. All right? And it's like basically Johnny Gargano and Adam Cole, who have been there forever, and the other 2 are getting long in the tooth now too, okay? They're basically NXT Miz, NXT Dolph Ziggler. That's what they are. It's the same thing because those guys never go away either. They've been there for a decade and a half. Kofi Kingston, you go right down the line, right? And it's just the same recycled guys over and over and over, and now that's what NXT has become as well. And that's why it also feels just like the main roster now. Because Johnny Gargano and Adam Cole don't go anywhere. What is there left for Adam Cole to do?
I know.
He had his big push. He was the leader of his faction. He got his mega push. He peaked. It's time for him to move on and go away. There's nothing you could do with Adam Cole now that won't be rehashed or feel like it's past his peak. Johnny Gargano's long past his expiration date. Okay? And the same thing's going to happen. Kyle O'Reilly. The entire
his arc's
era.
done. His arc's done now.
Yeah, they need to fucking move on. I mean, the only guy left in Undisputed Era that maybe you could do something different with is Fish, and he's 45. Okay? And, he's a nice mid-card guy. He's going to feud with Oni Lorcan now, and that'll be fine. Those 2 guys will have a nice mid-card feud. But your Coles and O'Reillys, there's nothing left for them to do. But we know they're not going anywhere. So that's why I said at the top, you watch these takeovers, it's impossible to be invested or care about any of it because what you're watching now, you're watching The Miz, you're watching Dolph Ziggler. They're not going anywhere, and it's just going to be the same shit over and over. Whose turn is it this month? That's all it's going to be. So how could you possibly care? This is the same reason that it's impossible to be invested in the main roster. Which woman's turn is it to challenge for the women's title on Raw or SmackDown? Whose turn is it, to get a men's push or tag? It's just it's the same faces taking turns, and that's what NXT has become.
Yeah. There's no hierarchy. You don't move from one hierarchy to another. You don't move and that used to happen. Yeah, guys used to move up and move down, or they were just pushed from the beginning and then they were sent away and sent up to the main roster. And yeah, the stagnation the stagnation's been an issue for 2-3 years. Been an issue ever since we go back and listen to our show from 3-4 years ago or whatever, when Triple H said, hey, we're going on the road and we're gonna try to draw. We said that's gonna be a very bad thing for NXT because guys won't leave then. And guys will stay, and that's one of the things that made NXT cool and made NXT important is that guys came and they went, and we were worried about that. We were worried about it when guys would be held back, and he was like, no, I need Finn Balor to draw, I need Adam Cole to draw, I need those guys to draw, and we're 3-4 years away from that at this point, and these guys are still here. In some cases, some guys have went up and then came back down, and yeah, it's been the biggest detriment to this. And people say, Move the USA was what killed them, and yeah, the Move to USA has not been great, obviously for NXT, and it's made it much less watchable. But to me, the biggest issue is just that they're just utter failures on the main roster, and either Vince doesn't want any of the guys anymore, or Triple H doesn't want to give up any of the guys, or there's just no sort of relationship between the main roster and NXT anymore. I mean, that it's a killer. It's an absolute killer. And people have brought it up a lot of times too. It doesn't help that pretty much everybody that comes up from NXT, they kind of fail in the main roster as well. We're going to talk about it here with Hell in a Cell in a bit with Rhea Ripley. I mean, they don't convert well. So it's like hard, even if you were invested in someone's peak, even if you were invested in someone's rise, like Bianca or Rhea or whatever, how invested could you be if hey, once they go to the main roster, it's pretty much going to be over and it's not going to work anymore. And it makes it tough too.
Oh, forget Bianca, the big star they made at WrestleMania. Look what she's doing with fucking with it's Pam, it's Bailey, fucking awful feud. That awful. Yeah.
It's creepy. It's creepy, Joe.
Maybe we should save it for that segment. But how many times are they going to rehash the bully fucking story?
Yeah.
WWE has like 5 stories that they just redo over and over and over.
I know.
How many times are we going to do the bully? They were doing it again.
They have a bunch of them on this Hell in the Cell. I can't wait to preview this because they also have the 2 people that lose all the time are going to face each other at the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Another classic tale. Yeah.
We'll save that hot material. But, it's like, so they bring back George Carroll. That was reported by Mike Johnson this week. And a lot of people listening might not know who George Carroll is, but I mean, he's bounced around. Ring of Honor, New Japan, WWE, MLW, back to WWE. Okay, he's a backstage guy, and Rich and I, we've both had conversations with George over the years. Would it be fair to describe him as a details guy?
Very much so. I
mean, that's what he is. He's a fucking details guy. But do you think it will matter there? Do you think his voice will be loud enough? Do you think because in WWE, the power structure is such that there's so many voices, and it's hard to get ideas through, and it's will it even matter? I mean, because that's a guy who can make sense of stories and give things proper direction and make sure that the details are taken care of. But I don't know in that structure that it will matter. I mean, what's your take on that?
No, I mean, they have 30 guys there that all know I mean, they employ a ton of very smart people there in that company. There's a ton of dudes that I know can tell good stories and succinct stories and understand wrestling. I mean, many of the people that were there 3 years ago are still there and could tell good stories. And I don't know. I just think, I don't think, I'd like to think that George Carroll goes there and helps out. But I mean, there's any number of guys backstage there that could have done something over the last 2 years to help out.
Where's Ryan Ward?
I think he
did a hell of a job. Where's he?
Yeah, I forget what happened to him.
What's Gabe doing? What are you doing with Gabe?
That's a great question. That's one of the guys I was mentioning. That's a guy that I know can tell nice and succinct stories and understands pro wrestling. I don't know what he's doing. Sanjay Dutt, I believe that he probably knows what he's doing. Triple H seemed like he knew what he was doing for a while too. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know. I mean, there's 45 fucking agents there and producers and shit like that. I don't know that any one guy is going to get in there and change anything and redo anything. So no, I'd like to think that George can go in there and help out a little bit, but I mean, there's a lot of smart guys there and nobody seems to help. So it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. So
yeah, I almost feel like they just, much like the main roster, I don't know if that stuff matters to them anymore. But on the other hand, I feel like they think they're telling good stories in NXT. I think they still feel like they're the rebellious brand that's doing it right.
Absolutely. Oh, for sure.
But they're not.
Yeah, they because their match structure is such that they're, hey, we're different than the main roster. We're action, we're this. And yeah, I get it. Makes sense. But no, yeah, your stories are terrible.
Yeah. No, I think if you get in that room, they'd probably tell you that you're nuts if you say that they're just a yellow fucking Raw. But that's what they are. They're work rate yellow Raw. I mean, that's what the show is. But I think that they think they're still telling these great stories and they're doing pro wrestling right. And they snicker at fucking what goes on Raw and SmackDown, but they don't realize that that's what they've become. So it isn't good. Now I watched the TV and I got to tell you, the Grizzled Young Vets versus Imperium. Matt, was it Imperium? No, it was a Grizzled. What the fuck is it? The Grizzled Young Vets versus.
I did not see it, so I unfortunately can't help you out here. I'll search for you if you want, but
it was. Why am I drawing a blank on this? It was a tornado tag. It was. Anyway, let's talk about the Samoa Joe.
Oh, Ciampa and Thatcher, right?
Ciampa and Thatcher. They had a tornado tag. And that was better than anything on TakeOver. It was phenomenal.
Well, and I forgot to mention this as well, not to interrupt you, but after the Xia Li Mercedes Martinez thing, when there's a murder, then they cut to the backstage and it's Ciampa and Thatcher, and they go, "We don't care about any fantasies or dragons. We're here to kick ass. We're gonna kick ass on TakeOver or on NXT on Tuesday." And it's like, oh, all right.
Yeah, it's such a weird.
Oh, all right, that's cool. Yeah, let's do that. It's like, why did we just see a 1,000-year-old Chinese woman murder somebody, and now these guys with beards are spitting and snarling and saying, "We're gonna kick ass on Tuesday. Come watch us on Tuesday, kick ass." And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I do want to watch you do that.
No, and they just went in there and fucking killed each other. And Grizzled Young Vets, I think they might be the most underrated tag team in the world.
Oh, they're tremendous.
They're every time out. They're just both of those guys, and I know we've talked about it before, but but Drake especially. I mean, I think everyone thinks of Gibson because of the promos, and he's very good, but Drake is severely underrated, and the Tommaso Ciampa, Timothy Thatcher team, those guys have great chemistry, and they're just no nonsense. They're just ass kickers, and I've been very critical of Timothy Thatcher over the years on this show. Everybody knows that. I have never enjoyed his work more than I enjoy his work in NXT. He has just worked for me every single second that he's been in NXT. From Fight Pit to fucking his single stuff to now this great tag team, because it's just no nonsense. Get in there and beat people up. And, he's been phenomenal. And Grizzled Young Vets might be the most underrated tag team in the world. I mean, I think they're a top 5 tag team in the world right now.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt at all. Yeah, I love them.
Yeah. So that was an excellent match. The Samoa Joe's back. So the story here is that William Regal can't control anything anymore. It's out of control. And, so Samoa Joe is there to be his enforcer and help him control things, right? But this is fucking stupid and doesn't make any sense. Because in WWE kayfabe, Samoa Joe is an old guy who already got demoted to being an announcer. But he's out there on NXT choking out Adam Cole, beating people up, intimidating fucking the champion and getting in his face. And Samoa Joe's cool as fuck and one of my favorite wrestlers ever. I love Samoa Joe. And there are so few people in wrestling today who come off as authentic as Samoa Joe, okay? But the problem is in kayfabe, you've already told us that he's washed up and that he's not a wrestler anymore. And now he's out here choking out and intimidating, and he's got these guys in the prime of their careers backing off, and he's choking them out. It doesn't make any sense.
Right, or what happens is people are then going to go, all right, great, I can't wait to watch Karrion Kross versus Samoa Joe, and then you have no intention of delivering that.
Right. And it's like, it'd be one thing if you're building to that, and I don't think they are. And they already told us that they're not doing that. So it's a damned if they do, damned if they don't. Because, all right, you told us you're not doing that. But yet he's out here beating everybody up, even though he's 45 years old and out of shape, and he's an announcer. And he's beating up all these guys in the prime of their lives. But then if you do the match, then you're going back on telling us that you weren't going to do the match. This is what I'm saying. They need a details guy. The problem is, will they listen to a details guy? And I don't think they will. There's too many fucking cooks. That's been the WWE fucking story for the last 20 years. There's too many cooks. So it won't matter, ultimately, if you get a details guy in there. I'm very skeptical. We'll see. Hopefully it helps. I don't know. But on its face, it's so ridiculous. This is like superstar Billy Graham when he came back in 1988 with the hip replacement surgery, looking like a crippled old man. If they would have made him like Jack Tunney's enforcer,
right.
And he's getting in Hulk Hogan's face, and Hogan's backing down.
A few years later, Sid Justice, steps up to Tunney to yell something, and superstar Billy Graham goes, "Not so fast, pal."
Right, and you have superstar Billy Graham beating up everybody beating up Tito Santana,
beating up Earthquake,
yeah, and it's like that's what this is. It doesn't make any sense. Like it's dumb, right? But Joe is so good in the role that it works anyway. And everything in WWE is so silly and stupid that you kind of just throw your hands and you go, well, fuck it. It's cool.
Yeah,
it's
right. I
Joe.
enjoy this, and that's the least I can ask for is it's kind of cool in the moment that I'm watching it. So
yeah, it's like the least you can ask for in that company.
Right.
It's just something you can enjoy on its face, even though intellectually, the story is dumb because it really doesn't make any sense. They had Gorilla Monsoon step up to Vader once. What happened?
He got his ass destroyed, and then he went away.
Right.
Because Vader bombed him and fucking sent him packing. He never was seen again.
And they didn't make Monsoon come off like a coward. He stepped up to Vader,
right.
but they handled it properly. They had Vader beat him up, and Vader was the heel, and that put sympathy on Monsoon. It put heat on Vader. But now Samoa Joe just beats everybody up. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that Vader Monsoon thing was awesome too, because if you remember, if people that never saw that, Vader was doing a bunch of shit. Gorilla Monsoon, who was the commissioner at the time, was like, "Hey, you need to stop doing this shit, or I'm gonna fire you." And Vader goes, "Oh yeah, you're gonna fire me? Yeah, say it to my face or whatever." Monsoon steps up to him. Vader then says, "Oh, I'm gonna hit this guy," and Jim Cornette goes, "No, Vader, please do not do this," because he knows my guy's gonna kill Gorilla Monsoon, and I'm gonna be in a shitload of trouble. Don't do that because it's an authority figure. And then Vader just beat his ass anyway, and the entire time Jim Cornette's just oh my god, oh no, oh god, what are you doing? Like we're fucked, and yeah, they they suspended Vader, in storyline, and then Gorilla Monsoon was never seen again. It was awesome.
Yeah, perfect. That's how you handle that. You want to do the enforcer gimmick, it's got to be like an active fucking guy in the prime of his career. But again, Joe does have the kind of credibility to pull it off. But I just don't. They've told us he's an announcer. He didn't come out there looking like he was in prime shape.
Yeah, because in kayfabe now you have to wonder what the hell. Why was this guy doing announcing for 2.5 years if he's such a badass?
Yeah,
and why is this guy not a main eventer? He's a former NXT champion. He's kicking everyone's ass. Like,
right.
Cool.
So now
let's go watch him wrestle. And it's like, well, no.
If you're a viewer, why wouldn't you want to see him wrestle Cross now?
Yeah.
Right. So, but it's like it's WWE. They don't want you to think about it. They just want you to take everything at this surface level. And this is why I'm saying they think they are the brilliant brand doing things right. And they're doing the same stupid bullshit that they do on the main roster. It's no different. It's the same shit in a yellow package with less rest holds. That's all it is. Just because you pull the rest holds out of your matches doesn't mean you're any different than what they're doing on blue and red. It's the same shit.
There you go. That's NXT TakeOver in your house. It's available on Peacock if you want to rewatch this show that we just previewed there. Or just reviewed there. But we need to get to Hell in a Cell. Before we do that, though, Joe, I do want to let you know that support for this episode of the Voices of Wrestling Flagship Podcast is brought to you by our friends at Manscaped. They are the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. They obsess over their technology developments to provide you the best tools for your grooming experience. Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million men worldwide, and we have an exclusive offer for our listeners, 20% off plus free shipping with the code FLAGSHIP at manscaped.com. Again, we've had VOW before, we've had Voices. This one is Flagship at manscaped.com to get 20% off plus free shipping. As we've told you for a few weeks now, Manscaped has created the best ball hair trimmer ever, the Lawnmower 3.0. It is their third generation trimmer. It features a cutting edge ceramic blade, reduces grooming accidents, thanks to the advanced skin-safe technology. In addition, this is something, Joe, I know that you love as well. The trimmer comes with an LED light for a more precise shave and also waterproof to make your shower shave clean and easy. The Lawnmower 3.0 comes in their brand new Perfect Package 3.0, which has everything you need to keep trimmed, cut-free, and smelling nice downstairs. The Perfect Package 3.0 features the Crop Preserver, also has the Crop Reviver. You get all that together, and they throw all that into that Perfect Package, as well as 2 free gifts in that Perfect Package, a pair of high-performance Manscaped boxer briefs that'll keep your junk feeling fresh all day, as well as a travel bag to store all of your grooming goodies. So again, trim that junk of yours, get 20% off plus free shipping with the code FLAGSHIP at manscaped.com. Again, that's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com, and use the code FLAGSHIP. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Thank you, Manscaped, again, for sponsoring this episode. All right. Ready to get us talk about Hell in a Cell? Something I'd much rather shave my balls than watch WWE Hell in a Cell. But something other than it'd be too much of a delight to use the Lawnmower 3.0. I'd like to use a straight razor on my balls instead of watching this fucking terrible show. Somebody asked us, are we doing a live Q&A or a live fucking instant reaction after this show? We are not, Joe. We are not.
Oh, I was open to it, man. Hey, listen, okay.
No.
I understand.
Not in the summer. Not in the summer. I can't do it in the summer. SummerSlam, maybe.
What do you got going on a Sunday night after...
Anything else. Literally anything else. Shaving my balls with a straight razor. Anything else, Joe.
With a straight razor?
Are you fucking me, kidding me? I just said I'm not even going to use... I don't even... it'd be too much of... If I use the Lawnmower 3.0, the fantastic skin-safe technology, that'll be too much of a delight. It'll be too easy. I need something that's almost as terrible as watching Hell in a Cell.
Wow.
Is what I would rather do. So
see, you can't shave your balls with a straight razor if sometimes when your ball sack, when maybe it's cold, you get like the tiger stripe balls. You know the ones I'm talking about?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Where they curl up on you and they look like tiger stripes. If you take a razor to tiger stripe balls, you're gonna get cut up all over the place.
That's why I gotta use that Manscaped. That 3.0, man.
You gotta see what you want to shave. If you want to shave your sack, you gotta turn the temperature up in the house so you get those fucking low hangers going, because that's a nice smooth surface that you can get the razor moving on. You know what I mean? You got to be careful with those tiger stripes. That's a bad look. So what you're saying is watching Hell in the Cell is akin to shaving your balls when it's cold and you got the tiger stripe balls going
correct.
on.
With straight razor, and there's blood everywhere, and you're wondering why I did this, and this is a terrible idea, and there must have been something better I could have done that day.
And you're nicking them all over the place.
Yeah. And you're like, all right, honey, I'm ready. And she doesn't, it's like the people in your life don't even want to be around you anymore. That's what Hell in a Cell is. Like, if I watch this the nurse is going to be off this day. Like, I need to plan these things around when she's at work, because I cannot sit down on Sunday night on a beautiful June weekend, slap my hands together and go, all right, here we go. Alexa Bliss versus Shayna Baszler. Let's go, baby. And have her be in the same room as me. Like that.
Well, that's going to be they're going to do a collar and elbow tie up and have a good catch as catch can
right.
matchup.
Shayna's going to use her MMA background to defeat the totally adult woman, Alexa Bliss. Have you seen those Alexa Bliss cameos that are making the rounds?
Totally not meant to be a child.
Totally an adult. Joe,
yes.
You are perverse by even mentioning the word child, because there's nothing about her that's childlike, Joe. So stop with that, all right? You're the creep here. There are still
Reddit mutants who will argue and say that she's not meant to be childlike, and that you're sick if you think so. Yeah, those people exist.
She does her cameo swinging on a swing with her weird makeup. I don't know why she looks like a raccoon, but whatever. She looks like a raccoon in her little skirt and her little pigtails, and goes, "Oh hi, nice to see you." It's like, totally an adult. Yep, that's what adults sound like.
And she has a toy doll.
right.
Doll.
Adults often carry toy dolls. Yeah. So. Yep.
While swinging on a swing with their pigtails.
Yep.
Using the verbiage of a third grader. Yeah,
they typically call where they hang out the Playhouse. Alexa's.
Yeah, yeah.
TLB called. Yeah. Well, geez, I don't know.
Oh. Whoa, hey now.
Just realizing that. She might. I don't know. Hey, she might have a Playhouse.
What, hang out at playgrounds?
No, I meant the Playhouse. I don't know. I was going to say a room where she has fun that she calls the Playhouse, but I was going to... I backed off thinking,
More like a dungeon around here, but... No, it's, but the Reddit mutants will defend it. Joker, Desalvo, the whole gang. They'll get on there and tell you that you're the sick one.
There's no pedophile thing in the Fiend, Alexa.
You must be the pedophile if you think so. I don't know why I said that like Braun Strowman, but
like it.
That was like Braun Strowman.
Well, he won try. We'll see. Braun Strowman's on the good side because one time he tried to fuck Alexa Bliss, but that was when she was just a normal adult.
Mm-hmm.
So he's okay.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, they were an on-screen couple for a while there, right? But then she had her romance with the Fiend, and then he possessed her and converted her.
Yeah.
What? This is supposed to be a wrestling show.
Professional wrestling.
It's a pro wrestling show. Everybody, he possessed her and converted her to a childlike entity because obviously the Fiend is a fucking pedo. I mean, if that's not what you're getting from this story, I don't know what you're watching. Like, I don't even think we're trying to do like a controversial bit or anything. Like, that's the fucking story that they are telling you, right? Because she wasn't childlike until the Fiend wanted to fuck her. And then he possessed her and turned her into a childlike entity.
Well, she's going to be facing Shayna Baszler at WWE Hell in a Cell. And Joe, is this the last hurrah for
us reviewing this shit?
Yes. Well, the last hurrah, yes, hopefully, but also the last hurrah of the cinematic match, because moving forward now, every single future thing will presumably be in front of crowds or presumably be with a live audience, and people are speculating, and I think this is actually an interesting debate. Do you think now that this is the end of it, that now they're going to decide, okay, we can't do cinematic matches anymore when we have an arena full of people? Because I disagree. I don't think it's the end of them.
No, it's not the end.
I think they think they got something here.
They just keep creating more fucking spooky characters.
That's
so
what
why
I mean.
would this be? Yeah.
So they just expect the 16,000 people in whatever arena for Money in the Bank to sit and look at the video board while something creepy goes on backstage.
Yeah,
that's my thought. Yeah.
Or they're going to do special effects in front of the crowd, like they'll do it in the ring, because they can do the same shit minus the jump cuts, because they do jump cuts on Raw and stuff like that, like different camera angles. You can't do that in front of a live crowd. Well, you can, but it's a worse experience for the people sitting there than the people at home. But you can still do, like, look at WrestleMania, the Fiend. You know, they did a special effects. The box came out and all that. So this stuff's not going away.
Well, yeah, and I was going to bring that up. Like, WrestleMania is a great example. They had a whole fucking football stadium filled with people, and they still did a box and all this fire and bullshit. So, yeah.
AEW just did another stadium stampede in front of a fucking crowd. This shit's not going anywhere.
Right. I'm with you, so.
I don't know. I mean, we just saw AEW do it with a fucking packed building. And we just saw them do it at WrestleMania. And they've done it at WrestleManias prior. So I don't know why people would think it would be going away.
Right, we had dumb Firefly Funhouse matches even before that. We had the fucking sperm match with Randy Orton. Yeah, they've done this shit before, so yeah.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere.
So they'll do it here. Who could possibly care about Alexa Bliss versus Shayna Baszler? Do you have anything else to add to the adult Alexa Bliss versus former MMA fighter Shayna Baszler?
Someone in a chat room says they wrote Lily off TV because they can't do it in front of the fucking live crowds. I promise you that fucking voodoo doll will be back on TV. I didn't watch Raw this week.
Yeah, so I think Alexa.
I did watch Raw.
I think Alexa said, because we're going back to live events, I'm going to leave Lily at home for a little bit or something like that. So
I don't buy it.
Yeah, I don't buy it either. Yeah, Vince is going to go, where's the damn doll? Give me the doll.
That and Leo Rush is retired. Okay.
Yes, right. Exactly.
Sure.
Right. Oh, speaking of creepy characters and bullies, we have WWE SmackDown Women's Championship. Bianca Belair, the megastar that was created at WrestleMania, will be facing the bully Bayley, who can also take over the video boards. Who I guess also has supernatural powers too. So
Alexa Bliss once bullied Nia Jax for being fat, right? Wasn't that the story?
Correct. Yep.
Those are the two correct people. I know it was Nia Jax, but I think it was Alexa.
No, you're right. Yeah, it was definitely Alexa calling her fat. Yeah.
Then Shane McMahon bullied Braun Strowman for being stupid.
For being dumb.
Right?
Yeah.
Remember? Mm-hmm. Stupid at the WrestleMania, which, by the way, I can't say that word in this house because TLB taught the kids that stupid is a bad word.
Okay.
So if I ever say stupid, they correct me. They say stupid's a bad word. Don't say stupid. So I got to be careful.
Canceled in your own household. Man.
I get canceled constantly in the house, on Twitter, everywhere. So, so Braun Strowman got canceled for being stupid he didn't. He got bullied by Shane McMahon for being stupid. And now we have Bianca Belair, who we were told was created into a massive star at WrestleMania, in a mid-card feud with It's Bayley, being bullied by Bayley because Bayley laughs at her. And Bianca Belair, when she was growing up, got laughed at by people all the time for trying to be an athlete and trying to be different. And all of this Bayley laughter is really hitting Bianca Belair at her core, and it's making her unsure of herself. Rich, what are the defining characteristics of Bianca Belair which helped her get over to begin with?
That she was a real athlete and came up from NXT and was a real human being and a real person that was a tremendous athlete that was really good at wrestling
and most importantly, super confident.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
What does she call herself?
The EST, the best, the greatest, all that. Yeah.
So what would you do with Bianca Belair after you crown her? She beats Sasha Banks at WrestleMania.
I would definitely make her unsure of herself and question her abilities for sure, no doubt.
And lack confidence,
right.
And all because someone laughs at her. This shit
so bad. God.
It is written for toddlers and watched by 55-year-old men. It is the weirdest fucking show. This shit is written for third graders and the only people who watch are 58-year-old dudes. Who enjoys this? Who enjoys this besides 58-year-old men who just watch out of habit because they liked Bob Backlund matches in 1981 and Roman Reigns avatars? Who else on earth enjoys this shit or thinks it's good?
If you have not seen the segments with Bianca and Bayley, they're absolutely ridiculous. They're absolutely you couldn't find a worse way to use Bianca Belair. Like this would have been if I said, Joe, what's the way that we can make sure that Bianca Belair stops being a star and that we everything we did at WrestleMania, what can we do to cool her off immediately as quickly as possible? And it's exactly this. Make her, because Bayley laughs at her and then Bianca looks down and gets sad and solemn.
Yes.
And questions her own. And now the idea is obviously that at Hell in a Cell, she'll reemerge and she'll be confident and she'll win. Do you buy? I mean, I could totally see Bayley just beating her ass, right?
Rich, I can call the fucking spot at Hell in a Cell. Bayley's gonna have her down and have her defeated, and she's gonna stand over her and then cut a fucking talking promo and laugh and do the laugh. While the announcers go, oh, Bianca Belair, she's getting laughed at, and we know that and that's going to be a big fucking spot in the match. She may not even win. This is why we told people, listen, careful with they're making a star here thing, because on paper, yes, they should be making a star.
Yes, it is a layup. It is indeed a layup, but this is this company. This is this company.
This should be an easy one, but be careful with Bianca Belair is a star now. Be real careful. We tried to tell people, because this is what they do. They write stories like this, and people say, "Oh, this is storytelling. It's great storytelling." No,
it's really not.
This isn't how you make a star. It's awful, and it's one of the 5 fucking stories that they have in their holster that they tell over and over and over. How many times are we going to see a story where the heel is a schoolyard bully? These are grown adults, but they do this schoolyard bully shit over and over and over, and it never helps or works for anyone or helps anyone or anything.
Jared J correctly points out in the chat room that Alexa also bullied Mickie James for being old. Remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's another good one. Alexa Bliss bullied Nia Jax for being fat, and they did that whole feud, and Nia Jax wins the feud and is in tears, and then she turns heel a week later. Like they don't.
Even when they do it right, they still find a way to do it wrong.
They still fuck it up. Like they don't capitalize on it. It's just that pay-per-view cycle is over. We told that story. Now we're moving on, and we want Nia Jax to be a heel now. So then there's not even any benefit from telling the story of it's okay to be fucking fat or whatever story they were trying to tell. Like, is this a fucking... I don't understand. Is this show on Nickelodeon at 9 o'clock in the morning for fucking kids to teach them how to have self-esteem? Or is this meant for fucking adults? The stories are, And it's the same 5 stories over and over.
Well, let's get to this next match, because this is one of the other stories that they tell. One of the 5 stories here. WWE Raw Women's Championship match. Rhea Ripley defending the title against Charlotte Flair. Rhea Ripley also won the title, obviously, at WrestleMania, and has had a horrendous run on the main roster. Just an absolutely unmitigated disaster of a run on the main roster. And this feud, there's a lot of bad feuds this year, but man, this might be, if they continue this thing, if this thing keeps going, this could be in the running for one of the worst feuds of the year. All that has happened in the last few months, past few weeks of Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair, is they have lost Nikki Cross. Every single week, they go out and they find new ways to have Rhea and Charlotte lose to Nikki Cross. Sometimes it's a count out. Sometimes Rhea comes in and interferes. Sometimes Rhea comes in and distracts. No matter what happens, though, every single time they lose to Nikki Cross.
Well, here's the thing, Rich. I think you're just a hater because they tell stories.
Right. So one of the classic WWE pay-per-view stories is come watch 2 losers face each other at the pay-per-view, and one of these losers will win the match.
This is why you own a site called Voices of Virgins, and you're a hater.
Of Virgins of Wrestling, I think it is. Virgins of Wrestling. Get it right.
Either way it works. We clearly don't fuck. I've never felt the woman's touch, so. Geez, they'd be horrified by this bedroom 4 nights a week, believe me. Listen, they tell stories, Rich. These are great stories. I don't know what your problem is.
It's just
crying face emoji, crying face emoji.
Crying face
I don't
emoji.
know what your problem is.
Dead. You dead emoji.
Yeah.
You dead ass stupid. You stupid.
Yeah.
Dead ass don't get it.
It's good stuff.
It's great. It's great.
Why isn't the fucking Ghoulie the champion then? The fucking, what's her name again?
I don't know who you're talking about.
She doesn't do that character anymore though, right? She's
Ghoulie.
She used to look like a ghoulie. Her character when she was in what was the name of her faction with Eric Young? The fucking
Nikki Cross.
Nikki Cross. She used to run around like a gremlin.
Oh,
like
that's right. Yeah, right. In Sanity or whatever. Yeah.
Sanity.
Yeah. Lowercase s, capital A, capital N, lowercase I, capital T, lowercase y. Yeah, Sanity.
And then she left Sanity, and she was like a gremlin-like character for a while.
Right.
Tag team partner of Alexa Bliss. It's the other story they do. Opposites as tag team
right.
partner.
This one's a hot blonde. This one's weird. Let's see how this works.
Which you can watch on Raw every Monday, RK Bro. It's just the same shit over and over.
RK Bro. One of them RKOs. The other one says bro. They are RK Bro.
One is real serious and brooding. The other goofs around.
Yeah. It's a barrel of laughs.
Watch the serious brooding one make incredulous faces at the one that goofs around. Like, it's the same shit over and over. You know what I mean? Like, they have 5 stories that they tell. You know? But yeah, why wouldn't you think Nikki Cross should just be getting this title?
Yeah, I would say I beat all of you guys multiple times over the last few weeks. Give me my title. And it's the best story too, is because they've done it like 6 straight times, or like, for 3 or 4 straight weeks, is Nikki Cross jumps out of the ring and dances and goes, oh my God, and they go, oh, she did it, and they act like it's the first time she's done it every single time. It's so bad. It's indefensible.
Yeah, it's terrible.
God.
Yeah.
So there you go. And how hard is it to... Okay, the Rhea Ripley Charlotte Flair story, Joe. How hard is it to say Charlotte Flair beat Rhea Ripley for the title 2 WrestleManias ago? Rhea Ripley's now on the main roster and she's a champion. Is she better now than she was 2 years ago? The end. I did it. I'm done. That's it.
Triple H promised us they'd pay this off.
He did. You're right. Paul did say he was going to do that.
He knew all along that Nikki Cross was just going to own both of them at every turn. He knew this was going to pay off.
You're right. Uncle Paul did say that.
Yes. As we said at the time, they had no fucking plan beyond that WrestleMania match. No plan. None. And people bought that. People bought that. The people that call us virgins of wrestling bought that and said, they have a plan. Yeah, it's storytelling. You got to let it play out. Here it's playing out.
Here it is.
Here it is. Rhea Ripley and Charlotte. It's playing out.
Oh, dear God. All right. Last chance Hell in a Cell match for the WWE Championship. Bobby Lashley, the last chance for Drew McIntyre here. If he does not win the WWE Championship here against Bobby Lashley, it is over. Thank God, because these guys have faced each other for 9 straight months here. Drew McIntyre, obviously, his last chance to win the WWE Championship. Bobby Lashley is the champion going into this Hell in a Cell match. Drew McIntyre, his new gimmick is guy that tells Scottish stories.
Yes.
I don't know why, but yeah. The story is Vince recently saw Braveheart and decided, there we go. That's not a bad gimmick. So now Drew just tells tales of Scottish lore.
You think he has the patience to watch? Isn't that like 3 hours long, Braveheart?
No, he hasn't watched Braveheart.
He didn't watch Braveheart.
That movie was 3 hours and movies weren't 3 hours. You know what I mean? Like that was, I remember even my parents were like, well, we're never going to watch. I don't think they've ever seen it because they're like, well, we're not watching this thing for 3 hours. I remember once my parents went to Dances with Wolves and like, I remember they had to get a babysitter and they're like, we don't know when we're going to be back. This movie's like 2 hours and 45 minutes. We don't know when we'll be back. Like that's when, you know what I mean? And now every fucking Marvel movie's like 3.5, 4 hours or whatever. But
are those Marvel movies that long?
I think they are. Okay. Do not quote me. I don't know, but let me just look up a random, Captain America Civil War. What's the runtime on Captain America Civil War? Here. 2 hours and 28 minutes for that one.
I didn't realize all those movies were that long.
Yeah,
too.
That's another reason why I'm never going to watch them. So.
Yeah, Braveheart's 2 minutes short of 3 hours.
That's a lot. Yeah. Oh, Dances with Wolves is 4 hours. So okay, that's fair.
That's a 4 hour movie.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot.
You're really asking a lot, yeah. For a guy like Vince, I mean, he doesn't watch anything anyway. What were we talking about? I don't even care about this match. Let's move on.
So the best, I hope Bobby Lashley just beats him. You know what I mean? That would be the best part. Where Drew just
possibly care.
He just beats him and then Drew just doesn't get a title anymore. He goes, oh, all right, well, whatever. And then he gets drafted to SmackDown for the WWE and then goes after the WWE. They honestly, they might be doing that story. Because Roman needs somebody to face on Blue Raw. They may honestly have Drew McIntyre lose this match, have no more chances, and then just go to SmackDown.
I mean, here's the problem with that. You're breaking down WWE booking and applying logic.
You're right. I'm
to
so sorry. I apologize.
And every now and then we fall into that trap where
what am I doing?
You're trying to have a coherent thought and think of something that makes sense.
I'm so sorry.
And I don't know what the fuck you think you're doing, pal, but that's not what we do in these WWE previews. Okay, listen, I've done it too, and you've rightfully called me out. But you're like an addict getting caught on the streets at 2 a.m, and I'm pulling you back in the car. I'm like, Rich, what are you doing, man? Come on, man, get in the car. You don't want to do this. This is a mistake. We save the situation. No, we're just gonna forget that happened.
Okay,
we're gonna move on, and we're gonna move on to the next match.
Well, I'm glad I checked Twitter because we have a breaking news about this main event here.
What?
So on WWE Hell in a Cell, announced is going to be for the Universal Championship, Roman Reigns versus Dominic's father, Rey Mysterio. Okay, the head of the table, Roman Reigns.
They set that up the last couple weeks.
Yep. Yeah. I have a tweet here from @WWE.
The official account?
Yep. Breaking.
Blue check mark.
Breaking. Rey Mysterio will now challenge WWE Roman Reigns for the Universal title inside a Hell in a Cell tomorrow on SmackDown.
What?
I don't know.
What?
I don't know.
You know what this means?
I was going to say, I hope that it means that your boy, quote, Dominic, quote, is going to be,
end quote,
right, is going to be in the main event of Hell in a Cell.
Closer, baby.
Like, because Roman is just going to destroy Rey, right? He's just going to absolutely demolish him. And Uso is going to come into the ring. He's going to stare at Roman. Roman's going to stare at him. And then Uso is going to beat up Rey Mysterio, beat him within an inch of his life. And then there'll be no other option but, quote, Dominic, end quote. Which I'm so for it. I love it.
It's playing out exactly as I thought it would. I mean, I can't remember if I wrote it behind the paywall or said it here, but the ultimate irony, I think it was behind the paywall, patreon.com/voices of wrestling, $10 tier. You get all my tremendous writing. I mean, it certainly seemed like to me that they're building towards Dominic to be the one to take Roman out, which would just be perfect. Like, you can't even be mad at it. Like, it's so completely absurd that that's probably what they're going to do. Or at least put Dominic in that. They're going to do a Hell in a Cell Friday, and then they're going to do a Hell in a Cell 2 days later with Dominic and Roman.
Incredible. I can just see it because Ray, they'll like slam the door on Ray or they'll something to Ray, and then we'll go back like the same segment that they've done 20 times now, where Ray's in the back on the trainer's table going holding one of his body parts, and the blob of goo. Dominic's gonna come to the back and go, Dad, do you want me to take the match for you this Sunday at WWE Hell in SL?
Yeah.
And Ray's gonna go, no, Dominic, no, you can't do that, no. Dad, I have to do it for you.
Yes, that's how Dominic speaks too. Right. He's awful. Yeah. With his dumb, skinny, fat body, right? His dumb, skinny, fat body that they have to cover with a full bodysuit because they know he looks horrible. Like, they know he's the least menacing-looking pro wrestler, like, this side of Riho, so they have to cover his whole body in a full bodysuit because I don't think he's ever he's never lifted a weight in his life. And his awful dialogue that he cannot deliver. And his little choppy steps when he runs the ropes. You ever watch Dominic run the ropes?
He can't run the ropes.
His little choppy steps.
He's not ready. It's not fair to people get really upset at you when you make fun of Dominic, and like you should, because he's like a push commodity. He's like one of the top stars in World Wrestling Entertainment, and he deserves to get ridiculed because of that. But like, I do feel bad for the kid because he's not ready at all. Like, he's done nothing. He trained with Lance Storm for like a little bit, and it's like he's not ready to be a wrestler, let alone a wrestler that's like the top star of this company, and he's gonna fucking main event Hell in a Cell. I love it.
He's like the second most pushed guy on Fox.
I know, on Fox.
On the Fox show.
TV. I forgot their network TV.
And he's the second most pushed guy.
Dominic.
And he fucking stinks. He's so bad. Dominic is so bad at pro wrestling that you just know he's never going to be good. Like, he's one of those people.
Oh, yeah, he's got no natural ability whatsoever.
He has no chance of being good. He's never going to be good at this. Ever. And he's horrendous right now. He's so bad. Those little choppy steps when he runs the ropes. He runs the ropes like Lana.
Yeah.
He runs the ropes like an untrained celebrity doing a fucking celebrity. He runs the ropes like Jay Leno. Like that. He's horrible.
He kind of looks like Jay Leno too, to be honest.
He does. His fucking skinny fat body. No charisma at all. No charisma at all. He's got the charisma of a fucking lamp sitting in the corner of the room with a blown out fucking light bulb.
The one that you never turn on, the lamp that you're like, why do I have this? I have a lamp right now. I'm looking at it right now that I haven't turned on in 3 years. Why do I have that lamp there anymore?
Quote unquote Dominic is a fucking dusty lamp with a blown out light bulb. That's what he is. That's what he looks like. That's what he wrestles like. He cannot deliver dialogue. He is the absolute shits at everything, everything that he's asked to do. He's not good at anything. He doesn't have any charisma. It'd be one thing if he had some charisma and he looked the part or something.
Or he was like a dynamic worker or something like that, or
anything. He's got nothing. He's the shittiest looking Major League Pro wrestler like that's come down the pike in ages. He looks terrible. He's got the haircut you had in 4th grade, parted on the side. Like, there's nothing about him that's cool. One thing WWE's good at, they like can make people look cooler because they have that whole he doesn't even look cool. He's a fucking nerd with a terrible physique and they know he has a terrible physique, which is why they cover it up.
Yeah, because they cover it up.
They're embarrassed to put him on TV, so they put him in a full bodysuit. He's got just a gangly fucking lanky body. He moves around like a fucking, like he's unathletic. He's like the last pick in gym class. Like, he's awful. He's terrible. He's irredeemably bad. And he's the second most pushed person on Fox.
Top stars in this entire company.
Yeah. God. And they have a warehouse full of people.
The best, most of the best wrestlers of the last 15 years are housed in their property, and
yeah,
Dominic.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, it's
Ricochet has to beg people to watch. Please watch me on main event. I'm on main event. It's good. Drew Gulak's got to say, I'm on main event too. It's great. Please watch it.
Against Mustafa Ali, who has gotten over in the past. Like, that guy was getting over when he got hurt. Like, you could put anyone in that fucking spot. You have so many people on that roster who would benefit from the rub of being Rey Mysterio's tag team partner. And you give it to Dominic. He's awful. Put anyone in that spot. You could have put Mustafa Ali or Ricochet or right down the line of people we're not thinking about or getting. You give the spot to Rey Mysterio's dorky son who will never be good and never be a star. Ever. And they pushed Tamina. They pushed Dominic and Tamina. And then they wonder nobody's buying tickets to the TV. Because you're you're spending $300 and paying premium prices to watch Dominic and Tamina be champions and get pushed. It's terrible.
Well, that is World Wrestling Entertainment's Hell in a Cell coming up this Sunday. We'll see if Dominic gets inserted to the match. We might have to do an emergency instant reactions. We'll see what happens on Sunday with Hell in a Cell. But there you go. Jesus Christ. Do we have to watch this?
Yes.
Damn it.
You will watch it. You will try your best to enjoy it.
Okay. Fine.
You will come on here next week. We'll talk about It's Bailey doing the laughing spot to Bianca Belair.
Right. We'll dunk on people that told us that Bianca was a star.
We'll disappoint everybody who wants us to make the Alexa Bliss thing funny somehow, but we won't really have any jokes.
Say, I don't know. What do you want us to say?
What do you want me to say?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then hopefully Dominic, quote unquote, is in the Hell in a Cell match. I'm really hoping for that, pulling for that. In fact, I hope he beats Roman Reigns. I hope Dominic.
And Uso can turn on Roman Reigns. Finally.
Yeah.
And say, my brother Jimmy said that.
Yes, they have to remind you, of course. Yeah.
I'm not doing the bidding for you and my brother Jimmy anymore.
Yes. Yeah.
Dominic is your new champion. Yeah.
Yeah. You have the right hand man and nobody's bitch.
Yeah.
You have right hand man Uso and nobody's bitch Uso.
Yeah.
Two different Usos. One is submissive, and one is a brat.
Right.
Yes.
But see, who's going to turn is going to be the right hand man's going to turn.
Sometimes, last week they swapped roles.
Oh, see, okay, right there we go.
Like the submissive one was angry. See, that's long-term storytelling, Rich. That's character fucking advancement.
This has been going on. The Roman thing's been going on for like well over a year now, I think, at this point, right?
Why you trying to get me wound up?
No, I know. I'm just saying. No. I'm just saying. Like, as I remember. I was in Utah, I want to say, when they did. Or no, I guess we're not all the way up to a year yet. But I remember when I heard, oh my God, you got to watch this Roman Reigns match. It was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. His first talking match where he just talked the entire time.
Yeah.
And I remember the entire ride home, and I'm like, oh man, like I'm driving home from Utah. I'm like, man, I can't wait to watch this match. Like people are just raving about this thing. And then it was, Roman talking for 45 minutes.
Wet fart.
Right.
It was so overrated. But it hasn't been a year because he came back at he came back at SummerSlam. It is a year.
Yeah, we're close to a year. We're close to a year. Yeah, we're not quite there yet.
Yeah. And the talking matches, and now the Roman Uso stuff has been going on since like
I don't know.
Since January. It's just I did a ton of research. I wrote about it behind the paywall. It is not a draw. People will tell you this is the greatest story of all time, and ratings have done nothing but tank. The more attention they give the Roman Uso story, if you listen to like reviewers and hardcore fans, you would think that this is the greatest. People have literally said this is the best story WWE has ever told.
Oh yeah, they're Emmy Award. I've seen Emmy Award winning performances by Jimmy and Jay is what someone said. Yeah,
yes. But if you look at the facts, the more attention they give the story, the less people that watch SmackDown. That's a fact. $10 tier, patreon.com/voice of wrestling. It has run viewers off, this story. This alleged greatest story WWE has ever told that has fans enthralled has run viewers off. Rich, the graph goes straight down. Like it's I was even surprised looking it up. I wasn't expecting the results to be what they were. The graph goes straight fucking down, straight slope.
This Father's Day, let Dad loose at Lowe's. We have just what he needs for instant bragging rights. The Greenworks electric pressure washer. It's got the right power he needs to get everything looking like new, from patio furniture to siding to the driveway. Plus, it starts fast with the touch of a button. And the best part? Dad can shop at Lowe's in-store, online, or through our app. Lowe's, the perfect gift for Dad. U.S. only.
Hello, this is your apartment. I need some favors from you. Your cat keeps rubbing against the kitchen island, and I can't return the favor. Can you give her extra pets for me? After that, could you bundle your renters and car insurance with Geico? We could save money, and it's easy to do online. And one last thing. Could you leave the TV on during the day? I need to catch up on my soaps.
Geico. For bundling made easy, go to geico.com today.
Oh, God. Well, there you go. That's Hell in a Cell. Got a few things to move on to now. Do you want to do Impact, ACH? What are you thinking? What do you want next? We probably need to wash ourselves of WWE a little bit.
Oh, with Impact?
Yeah, I was gonna say
that's a move.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Wrestling stinks. Some wrestling is good, but most wrestling stinks.
No, listen. Here's the thing: 2021 wrestling fucking stinks. I mean, that's kind of that's just the truth. I mean, wrestling just isn't good right now. Like, AEW is carrying pro wrestling on its back over the last year and a half, 2 years. Okay. And I don't even think AEW is like phenomenal. Like, AEW has a lot of flaws. Like, I enjoy Dynamite most weeks. The pay-per-views are spotty. But I don't think AEW is like this great fucking promotion right now. But it's the best thing going by far at the moment. And the rest of wrestling is pretty fucking bad these days. It really is. And I think if you look at Japanese pro wrestling over the last half decade, even full decade or so, take away New Japan, and Japanese pro wrestling has been pretty bad over the last decade or so. I think New Japan being so great has masked that to a large extent. But overall, I don't think pro wrestling has been as bad as it is right now since like 1999. Am I off base?
Overall, it's a pretty bad. Yeah, there's not. I mean, there's little bits and pieces here. There's little matches here and there. There's sometimes little promotions, but yeah, overall, it is. It's a chore. It's a chore to watch this stuff right now.
A lot of times, it's a fucking chore. Yeah, it's not great.
It's the reason why it's as unpopular as it's ever been. So,
and the pandemic has a lot to do with it. I mean, it's there's no doubt about it. But I don't think a lot of these places, were on fire before. Look, I think the pandemic taking the wind out of the sails of New Japan has been very damaging.
It accelerated it. Yeah, it accelerated the down.
Yes.
For all wrestling.
You always had New Japan to fall back on to give you fucking great matches and competent booking, even if I didn't agree with it all the time. And with New Japan being in a real bad way, that's kind of like you lose that, and really you have Dynamite and what else? What else has really been consistently good? Nothing. I mean, I can't,
It's a great way to get us started for Impact. Let's talk. Oh, God. All right. Well, okay. Impact World Title match that they had on against All Odds. So Impact had one of their specials. It wasn't a pay-per-view technically. It was just one of their Fight TV specials or Impact Plus specials against All Odds. You saw most of the show. I only watched the Kenny Omega Moose match. That was the main event. It was interesting because the rest of the show took place from the whatever Skyway Studio or whatever the hell. Not Skyway Studio. I think that's where. Maybe that's where they're running. I forget where exactly they're running, but they're running in some warehouse somewhere in Nashville. But the main event, Kenny Omega and Moose, took place at Daly's place, and I was like, oh, okay, Daly's place. Then they cut to Daly's place, and it is the darkest, dreariest, most empty Daly's place I have ever seen in my life. What did they record this at like 3 a.m.?
Are you telling me that TK sandbagged the Impact main event?
Like, they both the guys are in the ring and they're getting ready to announce them, and they're just in a black abyss. There's just nothing. And then I'm like, man. And then you hear like, "Let's go, Moose." It's like 3 people being like, "Moose, Moose, Moose, Moose," and I'm like, this is weird. And then they have a match. Yeah, and it was good, but there was like, I don't know, 20 wrestlers. at like 4 a.m. I mean, it was as dark as I've seen Daily's place.
Oh, so they did have the geeks at ringside.
They did have some of the geeks at ringside. There was maybe 20 of them or so.
Was Kevin Blackwood at ringside?
I didn't get a good... They strategically did not shoot the crowd very often, Joe, to let you know. They stayed away from shooting the crowd. But
was the Gun Club at ringside in their usual spot?
The Gun Club, honestly, I would say no, because there was not the usual Gun Club enthusiasm at this point.
Was the mean girl with the burn book at ringside?
Is that Diamante?
No.
Who's the mean girl with the book?
Mean girl with the girl that does the Mean Girls, the fucking Mean Girls gimmick with the burn book. The little girl that she's almost midget sized. What's her name? You're not a regular watcher of Dark.
I am not. I don't watch Dark as much as other people do. No.
The chat room will get it. That's great having the chat room doing the live shows now, because as soon as they hear that, someone's gonna come through and name the mean girl she comes out with the burn book, like the movie Mean Girls, or that's her gimmick. But I guess you've never seen her, because
I don't think I have. Yeah, I'm done. I got nothing.
Watcher.
I got nothing for you. I've seen some Dark. I watch a little bit of Dark. I dabble in the Dark. I don't watch all 6 hours of every Dark, but
Danny Jordan is the
Danny. I've never heard that name. You could have told me. You could have made up a name, and I've never heard of Danny Jordan. But
are you familiar with the movie Mean Girls?
I am familiar with the movie Mean Girls.
Tina Fey. And,
yeah. Lindsay Lohan is in.
That's her gimmick. She comes out with a burn book.
Okay.
And she plants it in the corner, and then she, I think she's like 0-30, like is her record. I'm not making that up.
How tall is she though? Because you're saying she's like.
I thought she was a little person, but I did some research, and she's not. She's just really short. She's like 4'10" or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Sounds awesome.
Danny Jordan.
Sounds great.
The real mean girl. Yeah. That's,
Sounds like something I want to watch every single week. Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. I don't know if she was there. I don't know if she was there.
I don't think she'd get away with that gimmick, because isn't there going to be some kind of trademark violation?
I would say that the IP, whoever owns the IP of Mean Girls might take some umbrage with the real Mean Girl carrying around a burn book. So.
Was Raquel Chanel at ringside?
Yes. I'm just gonna say yes. So you stop asking me who was there.
I'm hoping not. She's the worst person they've ever booked. She is so bad. Have you ever seen Raquel Chanel?
I have unfortunately seen Raquel Chanel, and that was. It's why Dark exists. Is they're not always gonna work. She was pretty bad. So hopefully she never comes back. But
was VSK at ringside?
Yes.
All right. So we had some wrestlers at ringside, some were not, for Moose and Kenny Omega, and a dark setting. How was the match itself?
It was good. I liked the match. I liked it a lot. I thought it was some really, really good back and forth action. Moose, I thought, looked tremendous, and it's not hard to have a good match with Kenny Omega in 2021, and it was good. It was very well worked. Hard hitting, 20 minutes of it or so were just like really good back and forth action. Kenny getting some spots in, Moose getting some spots in, Kenny doing heel stuff, and Moose being, the big athlete and doing big spots and doing that sort of stuff. Moose did a spot where he jumped over the guardrail and tried to take out Kenny Omega, and he landed into a row of empty seats, which is not a good visual. Let you kind of know that there's nobody in this arena as he, is just jumping into a random seats or whatever. But it was a really, really cool spot. It showed off his athleticism. And things were getting together. It was a pretty damn good match. And then the Bucks ran in, and the Bucks super kicked Moose. Then they picked up the ref, and then Kenny pinned Moose, and he won 1-2-3.
Oh.
So,
all right.
So the story that they were telling here is that Kenny Omega couldn't put Moose in the One Wing Angel. Moose is too big, too strong. And it was a decent story. And honestly, I don't hate the way that they did the story, because what happens is the Bucks come in, they super kick Moose, and then they help Kenny lift Moose onto his shoulders. That I don't hate that story, because it's not a bad idea. It's the problem is we've seen 1,000 run-ins and 10, you know what I mean? Like we've seen so much stuff with this, and it made Moose kind of look. It kept him strong in a sense, but I don't know. I just didn't. I'm conflicted, because I like the way they did it, and I want to say in a vacuum it was a good finish, but I'm also just really fucking sick of guys running in, particularly the Bucks and Kenny Omega matches, guys running in, hitting stuff, pin, and then the ref gets awakened at the right time to count the 1, 2, 3. We've done a lot of that in AEW. We've done a lot of that in Impact Wrestling, and I think they're overdoing it to a tremendous degree. So it sucks, because this would have been a good time to do this type of finish, but it hurts because it they do it every single week, all these companies every single week, 1,000 times a week. You have these exact same finishes happening instead of just holding it for a moment like this when it would have worked, where Kenny realizes, fuck, I can't lift this guy. The Bucks come in to help him lift the guy, and then that's how he gets the win. That keeps Moose strong. That's a good way to do it. The problem, though, is that, we just see this shit every single week on every single show. So,
yeah, I hear you. I didn't see the match. Can't comment.
And now I don't know who's left. The classic who's left thing. They're now transitioning into a Sami Callihan angle here, because Sami came out to save Moose afterwards, and they did a big old schmaz here where Sami's out there, and then what happened was then Don Callis said, "Sami, you're fired." And then Scott D'Amore said, "You can't do that," and then he chased Don Callis through the entrance ramp. So.
Yeah, they're doing a Twitter angle now too.
Yeah.
So,
wrestling. Wrestling.
That'll be next.
Yep.
Was the Emperor at ringside?
The Emperor, yes.
The Emperor, yes.
I don't know who that is, but yes.
How about Ryzen? Was Ryzen?
Ryzen was not there.
Oh. How about Will Allday?
Will Allday was definitely there, yes.
How about this guy? Rich, that's Tony Donati's music.
Oh,
Tony Donati there?
I don't know if he was or not. I don't know if Tony Donati was there, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
This is a jam.
That's a pretty good song, yeah. Is Tony Donati what I think he is?
Say what you're thinking, Rich. What do you think?
Is he a stereotypical Italian fella?
Maybe.
Okay.
What would make you think that Tony Donati
is a stereotypical? Yeah. I don't know why I would think that. Yeah, you're right. Now
you gotta start watching Dark. You would be intimately familiar with
I know. I was watching Dark for a while. I have kind of fallen off on Dark. I need to get back into it. So
you know who hasn't been on Dark in a while? Jersey Muscle. I miss Jersey Muscle. Shockingly, Rich, also stereotypical iconic.
Jersey Muscle? Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Well, I don't want to say anymore because then Vinny Massaro is going to get in our mentions and get mad at me, so I don't...
What about me? I don't like this Italian-American discrimination that you perpetrate on this show.
That's true.
Okay?
It means more coming from Vinny Massaro, a man who played a character where he just ate pizza all the time. You know what I mean? I just love it.
Right. Yeah, the irony is
thick. Exactly. Yeah, I love it. I hope I know that he's in on the joke too. And it just because it pops out of nowhere. I just look at our mentions and all of a sudden I see that's anti-Italian discrimination. A screenshot from Vinny Massaro, and I love it. Yeah,
but his entire gimmick was I eat slices.
Yes, I am Italian. That's his gimmick.
Yes,
he wore the wife beater and
the stained wife beater,
and just ate pizza all day, so.
And literally ate slices of
pizza, which is a great gimmick if you can get great work if you can get it. So
right. So the rest of this show,
I didn't see any of the. I can't do empty arena Impact anymore, so I can't really do empty arena anything anymore. I've really reached my wit's end with warehouse wrestling. But go on.
I watched Joe Doring versus Satoshi Kojima.
Oh, that's right. That was on this show. Oh, I do need to watch that. Okay.
Doring looked good. I mean, we were a little worried about Joe Doring. Remember?
Oh, he looked horrible. Yeah, he looked horrible a few years ago. And
they looked good here. They had a good, hard-hitting, intense match. The one thing that blew me away is I knew Doring was a bigger guy than Kojima. I didn't realize how much bigger. Joe Doring towered over Satoshi Kojima and was just as wide because Kojima's a thick guy. But he looked legitimately small next to Joe Doring. If Joe Doring walked into New Japan, I think he'd be bigger than Okada.
Isn't he legit 6'4", 6'5"?
You don't realize how big he is.
Yeah, I think he's huge.
Man.
Yeah,
he's an enormous man. And they put Doring over Kojima, which was a little. I guess New Japan doesn't give a shit. Kojima's 50, but I was a little surprised by that, I guess. But they had a good little, 5-6 minute match, whatever it was, hard hitting. And Doring won. The only other thing on the undercard, because we'll move on, I want to talk about W. Morrissey for a minute. He's actually looked pretty good. I've been impressed.
So he's got himself in tremendous shape, right?
He is in tremendous shape, W. Morrissey. And
it's a terrible name. Jesus Christ.
It's an awful name.
This is the former Big Cass, by the way.
Yeah, and I guess they couldn't just call him Morrissey because there might be some issues.
You're right, yeah.
Some confusion there. They weren't just going to call him William, I guess, or Bill. Can you just call a guy
Bill?
Bill?
I like it more as Bill. I like Bill more than W. Morrissey.
Well, look at it this way. One of the most badass wrestlers on the planet is called Walter. So why can't you just call a guy Bill? Do it in all caps.
Yeah, right.
Thing.
Big Bill.
Right?
He could just be Big Bill. Yeah.
Right. But W. Morrissey?
Yes,
what kind of name is that? W. Morrissey. But he's looked good. He's in tremendous shape. He looks great. He's working to his size. And I know that sometimes is code for boring, but it's not. Like, he's had good matches with Willie Mack. He wrestled Rich Swann on this show, and he's doing what he's asked, and he looks impressive. And if he keeps his head on straight and he stays on this path, this is a nice little redemption story, I think, both as a person and as a wrestler, because he really hit the bottom of the barrel there for a while after he got cut. And he really looks like he has his shit together. So I did want to mention that too, but I don't really have any other thoughts about the undercard, and obviously I didn't see the main event.
There you go. I would recommend watching the main event, because I think it was one of Moose's best matches, and it's another kind of feather in Kenny's cap. So I would watch it if you get a chance, but understand that the finish is going to come a little deflating, I think, for you. So
I'm encouraged by Doring, because I really thought that they were hiding him early on in the run. Like, there must be something wrong with him, because they weren't letting him wrestle, or he was wrestling in short bursts. But he looked good here. I mean, hard to say vintage Joe Doring, because we're used to seeing him in 20, 25-minute All Japan main events and stuff. I don't know if he could do that, but he was in good shape here, and he wrestled a good match against Kojima. I could tell you, too, that in Impact on TV, they were doing the Jake something Rohit Raju feud, which was happening in AAW at the same time.
Yeah.
And, they're not given a ton of time, and it's a prelim feud and all that, but their work in both promotions at the same time has been pretty good.
Impact's got a sneaky good roster right now. They really do. And I think whenever they're ready to move on from Kenny and have somebody beat Kenny, there's a lot that can open up in this card. Because if Doring can go, and you add Doring to Sami Callihan, I don't really care about Sami Callihan one way or another, but he's fine. You know what I mean? It's okay.
Yeah.
You got Callihan, you got Doring, you have, in terms of the smaller guys, the X Division guys, Ace Austin is good, Chris Bay is good, Petey Williams looks great, Rohit Raju, I think you could do whatever you need with that guy, Trey Miguel, good, W. Morrissey, as you're saying, has impressed so far. That's another roster guy. Rich Swann, who is tremendous and can do anything. And then it really it moves on even more if Moose you have there, Josh Alexander, who's tremendous as well. I mean, there's a lot of really, really good guys on that roster. It's an interesting, even the Steve Macklin thing. I've watched some of that stuff, and he seems like a guy to keep an eye on, at least in that roster. So I'm interested.
Got to get it in front of fans, though.
Yeah. The warehouse thing has got to stop. We're done.
So tired of it. It's just got to get it in front of fans. But.
All right, now let's move on to we'll hit this guy real quick, and then we'll talk AEW as well, because I watched the Crush and Destroy show from this past weekend. ACH announces his retirement. He says on Instagram, quote, "No need for dramatic or emotional wordplay. As of today, I will officially step away from professional wrestling. Thank you all for the love and support." ACH obviously has not appeared in New Japan or MLW for quite a while. His last match, if this is indeed his last match, ironically, I attended live. It was against Davey Vega at AAW a few months back. So there you go.
One of his best friends in real life. How was the match?
Mm-hmm. Probably drove together. Probably drove up to the show together. So there you go. So I don't know if that was his retirement. I don't know if this is it for ACH. I don't know what's going on. But Joe, what do you make of it?
Well, I haven't talked to anybody. Do have some mutual friends, but I haven't really talked to anyone about it. But so this is just my personal opinion. But I put it in the same category as Leo Rush and Kylie Ray. I don't buy for 1 second that he's wrestled his last match.
Yeah, I'm with you. He'll be back.
It's pro wrestling. And again, I put him in the same category of the same conversation we had last week. He may really believe that he's never going to wrestle again. I don't doubt that. I don't think he's attention seeking. I don't think he's just out there trying to do a gimmick or looking for sympathy. I believe he genuinely probably thinks that he doesn't want to do this anymore, but I just don't buy it. He's like 30, 31, or he might
he's
be
33. He's 33. Yeah, he's around the same age as me.
But still, prime of his career, prime of his life, and it's what he's great at, and it's hard to stay away. I'm going to say the same things I said when I talked about Leo Rush. It's hard to stay away from something when it's what you are great at. And he is a great pro wrestler.
Right, and something that you can immediately make money on. You know what I mean?
Yes.
All you have to do is say, hey, I'm open for business, and he's going to make, X amount of dollars in one weekend. Because I
don't know
ACH.
what he's doing. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what he's doing. Maybe he's happier right now punching the time clock somewhere, and good for him if he is. But there might come a day where he's tired of punching that clock. And he can think to himself, you know what? I can work weekends, make as much as I'm making now, maybe get the itch to go back to Japan. Maybe, promoters send out some feelers. And that's what happens in these situations. And then, these people, when they're super talented like that, they find, wrestling has a way of finding you again. And selfishly, I would like him not to be retired. I think he's a tremendous talent. I thought he was doing some of the best work of his career during his comeback here, especially on the indies where he changed up his style a little bit. And, so I would hate this to be the end, but, I don't take most pro wrestling retirements seriously. So, I think we'll see him back.
I tend to think so as well, but we'll see. Yeah, the allure is hard to get away from, and you can, like you said, even if you're punching that clock, there's a guy that we can mention here who's fully back on the comeback trail, Davey Richards. For a long time was like, you know what, hey, I want to be an EMT, I want to get away from wrestling, but yeah, I'll do Impact, and he did Impact for like 3 or 4 years because basically they said, hey, we're doing all of our tapings on these weekends. He took those weekends off, did the tapings, did his wrestling thing, and then went back and did his normal job. It was the best of both worlds. And then he eventually said, you know what? I'm going to go. I'm done with wrestling. I'm going full EMT. I'm going full, paramedic. I'm doing all that. I'm just going to be that for now. That's what I am now. That lasted, 2 years? 2 full years, 2.5 full years. Now he's a fucking wrestler again. Because it's like,
because he's great at it and he loves it.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, and maybe ACH doesn't love it anymore. I mean, that's very possible for him.
Very possible.
For him.
Very
possible. Given what he's gone through, I absolutely get that this man doesn't love it anymore. But I think when you're so good at something and you're still pretty young, I don't know. Hopefully he's cool in his normal life and he can just say, fuck it, I don't need wrestling anymore. And we never see him in again. But yeah, like you said, selfishly, I do hope that he gets that itch and comes back because I like watching him wrestle and he's tremendous. So,
speaking of Davey Richards, I knew someone was going to book Davey Richards versus Jordan Oliver. I fucking knew it.
Who did that? I don't think I actually saw the actual
VSX.
booking.
VSX.
Ugh, gross.
And you knew they were going to do it. Like, we know of 3 Davey matches right now. Austin Aries on that Tennessee Indy, which I don't think that's going to hit tape. And I wish
you need to get your ass there. You got to get there.
I unironically would love to watch Austin Aries wrestle Davey Richards. I mean, if they look, Davey, we know is motivated and we know he's going to try hard. If Austin Aries is motivated and gives a shit about that booking, that's going to be a great match.
Yeah, I can tell you right now the match is going to be awesome because what's going to happen is the bell's going to ring. They're going to bounce against the ropes. They're going to shoulder block. They're going to bounce against the ropes. They're going to do a shoulder block. One guy's going to roll outside of the ring. Austin Aries is going to do a suicide dive, take out Davey Richards, run back in the ring, do another suicide dive, run back in, try another one. Davey's going to stand up, uppercut him, toss him out of the ring, and then Davey's going to do a suicide dive, right?
It sounds awesome already.
It sounds incredible, yeah.
Seriously though,
and then Davey's going to go into the 18th row doing a suicide dive and then flip at the last second and fall into the crowd, and it's going to be awesome.
As soon as those guys hit the ropes, the people in that crowd are going to know that they are 1,000 times better than anybody else on that show. Yeah. And I don't even know who's on the show. I don't care who's on the show because who on the indies is better than those 2 guys? Nobody. So but I knew that the Davey Richards match was going to get booked before the Daniel Garcia match, which is the one that I want. I want it badly. I keep putting it into the universe, but nobody's booking it. So we're getting the Jordan Oliver match in VSX. We're getting the fucking Yeezy Khan match in St. Louis Anarchy, another match that I would have never booked with that Everett Connors, who I also don't think is any good, and I can't stand the gimmick. But it's like these promotions, I'll defend them for a second, even though I hate these matchups. And it's like we know of 3 Davey matches. I hate 2 of them, okay? But I'm going to defend it because Jordan Oliver is a pushed guy in that VSX promotion. Everett Connors is a pushed guy in St. Louis. So they're doing matches that they think are going to be good for business. You know what I mean? So I understand it from that standpoint. They think, okay, we're going to put Davey in. Me and you are booking matches that we want to see because we think they're cool matches. Okay. You don't always have the right kind of guys to do that kind of match with. And plus, if Everett Connors is big in St. Louis, then I could see why you'd make that match. If Jordan Oliver is a pushed guy, and I think, isn't he their champion? Because
VXS, yes, I'm almost positive he is, yeah.
Or whatever that, yeah, or he was their champion. Like, they push him. So to them, that is the Davey Dream match because he's their, like, Jordan Oliver is their pushed guy. But I don't have any interest in these matches. I just don't, because I don't think they're good style fits for Davey Richards. I don't really like those wrestlers to begin with. They wrestled each other at WrestleMania weekend. It was atrocious, Connors and Oliver. Now, the Aries match I'm into. Oh, we have a fourth Davey Richards match. It just came through today.
He won a title last weekend, though, right?
He did.
Yeah.
Well, I'm talking about matches moving forward that we know are booked. He has a fourth match. Hold on, I'll pull it up for you. It's happening on that that Texas show in July where all the indies are coming together. I don't know if you even know about that. It's the Texas Indie Showcase on July 31st in Houston. There's like 9 promotions.
Oh, yeah. Like New Texas and a bunch of those guys running it. Yeah.
Yeah. New Texas. So Davey Richards is going to be facing the New Texas champion, whoever that may be, because there's
I do know about this match. And this one looks awesome. Whoever it is, I think it's going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's Mysterious Q and Brian Keith are having a match on June 26th for the title. And Davey Richards will face whoever that winner is on 7/31 at the Texas Indie Showcase. So that should be a good match either way. No matter who wins that should be a good
I'm
match.
into that. That sounds awesome.
And I will go to that show. On July 31st. I think that's going to be a big time indie show down here. That's kind of like the Texas. I know Texas has been running shows, but this is kind of like Texas saying, okay, the Texas indies are back.
Again. Yeah.
We're back, and Texas is doing pretty good with the vaccinations and they're running full house events for all kinds of stuff. So this is kind of Texas saying, indie wrestling is back, and I think it's an important show. It's a show I'm going to go to. We'll talk about it here probably, and we're off to a good start with a match like that. So whoever's listening, Davey versus Daniel Garcia, book it.
Free advice.
I think you're going to get it in Chicago.
That Warrior Wrestling, they've been hinting around it. So
they follow us, they listen to us, they put together matches like that. Those are 2 guys that they normally would book. I think you're going to get it in Chicago.
So too. Yeah, I think so too.
I think you're getting it.
Or if they don't, AEW should. Either one. But yeah, I think Warrior's going to get them, and they're going to do it.
Did Davey burn that bridge? Did we talk about that? Or
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't know.
We'll have to find out.
I think it could be unburnt.
You gotta.
That's all I'll say.
Richards.
I can see it getting unburnt. So, well, speaking of AEW, I'll quickly go over their Crush and Destroy show from this last weekend. I did not go to the show live, but was able to watch it on Fight TV, and I could say a good show again from AEW. Another good kind of solid show. Nothing of that like super stands out. They're just like a very well booked promotion at this point. Like everything makes sense. Everybody's got a purpose and a reason, and everyone's kind of moving up in a certain ladder, and there's a hierarchy and all that stuff that kind of works out pretty well. But I will tell you though, Joe, you and everybody listening need to watch Josh Alexander versus Matt Fitchett. This was on AAW Crush and Destroy, June 11th, 2021. It is available on Fight TV. I'm sure it'll be available on AAW On Demand pretty soon. I think in another week or so. Go out of your way to watch Josh Alexander versus Matt Fitchett. It's a match that I know you'll love, and I know most of our listeners will love. It's a time limit draw, so I'm giving it away there. It is a time limit draw, but it will not matter. That is the time limit draw. I'm spoiling it now. It will not matter because you will still enjoy the fuck out of this match. 2 dudes that just go out there and beat the hell out of one another for 20 minutes. Good spots, smart wrestling. Everything's crisp. Everything's hard hitting. It's awesome pro wrestling from these guys. Josh Alexander, Matt Fitchett. 2 like severely underrated guys too. And we talk about like, greats on the indies or, we never mention Matt Fitchett ever. And it's not fair because he's great. He's tremendous. And we always let him go. And Josh Alexander's a guy, I think because he comes and goes due to, some reasons beyond his control. I think we forget to mention him when we talk about top indie dudes. but he's fucking tremendous too. And if he can stay and then things don't go wrong, I mean, this could be a huge year for him, and it already has been a very, very big year for him too. So Josh Alexander versus Matt Fitcha from AEW Crush and Destroy. Watch that. Watch it.
He's having a big year, Alexander. We have a guy in our Twitter mentions all the time who constantly brings up that Josh Alexander's having a top 5 year in pro wrestling because he asked about that a couple months ago, and I told him no. And so every time Josh Alexander has a decent match, he brings it up. I still don't think he's one of the top 5 wrestlers in the world. I still think that's a little strong, but he is having
world's a little
year.
much, but he's America. He might be in the mix there in terms of America. So
yeah, but he's definitely having a great year, and I think he's AEW bound at some point. That's nothing I know or that I've heard. That's just my gut. I think Impact and the year he's having is a good stepping stone for that. And I think he's more than likely on their radar, and he'd be a perfect fit for them. And he's really having a fantastic year and deserves all of the praise that he's getting.
Yeah, well, he had a very conspicuously written out tweets that he replied to me talking about Alexander versus Fitchett and watching it, and he said, "Book me while you still can," was his tweet. So, there you go. Which might just be him, kind of pumping it up, but yeah, no, there's no doubt that at some point this guy is going to get picked up by somebody. So there you go. As far as other stuff on this show that I would definitely recommend, Fred Yehai versus Daniel Garcia. Daniel Garcia was a replacement. Fred Yehai is awesome in AEW. I mean, he's absolutely incredible. Just tremendous in this. I mean, his character work is awesome. His promos in this company are awesome. And then he goes out there and he just has great wrestling matches. This match, you if you didn't know anything about Daniel Garcia, you probably might not think that this guy is any great shakes, because he wasn't tremendous in this match, but I thought he was pretty damn good. And if you understand Daniel Garcia and you understand his entire character and the way he works or whatever, it worked for that as well. And it clearly was the beginning of what hopefully is Daniel Garcia many runs in AEW as well, because they kind of had him as the bright-eyed and bushy-tailed new guy to AEW. That's kind of how it worked, as Freddie Yehai kind of systematically destroyed him or whatever. But it's good. It's definitely going out of your way to watch that if you can. So that was good stuff. And then that was in terms of stuff I could really recommend from the show. You also had Mance Warner and Jake Something in the main event, kind of walking brawly, and I got real no time for walking brawls anymore. You had an AEW tag team title match. It was Infamy versus the Second Gear Crew. One called Manners and Matthew Justice. These guys had a match at the last AEW show that I went to, and this was almost exactly the same, where they're just brawling outside and stuff. And I don't need any more walking brawls, but they did it pretty well. It wasn't terrible, but Allison Kay versus Allie Catch was decent. Chris Statlander versus Hyon was decent, and then just some other kind of story matches throughout the show as well. But definitely a well worth your watch. Real good indie wrestling, well booked, well produced. Not much more you can say about AEW right now. So,
how did AJZ look?
AJZ, he looked okay. It was more of they were mostly promoting Shaft in this one. It was mostly just Shaft kind of beating him down. A big push. Yeah, it went longer than you would think. It went about 9 minutes, so it was a little bit of back and forth where AJZ got a few hope spots, but it was mostly Shaft just kind of very slowly, destroying his prey more than anything.
Well, Shaft should be beating that guy at this point. So I don't have any problem with the result. I was just curious how AJZ looked. He had a match against, I want to say, I think it was Clark Connors on New Japan Strong. Either Connors or Coughlin. I think it was Connors. It was Connors. And he looked excellent in that match. But Shaft is a guy they're pushing. He beat Calvin Tankman on a live. He won a squash against somebody on a live a few weeks before that. So I think they're doing the undefeated gimmick with Shaft. He beat
well, at that show that I went to, he just came out and beat both guys and stacked them up and pinned them and stuff. So yeah, they're clearly doing something with him.
Prisoners, right?
Yeah. And they have a lot of big dudes in AEW right now. It's very interesting. They have found some pipeline of large men, because there's just a bunch of dudes. So it's cool. You have you have your high flyer guys. You have your guys that are pretty decent and can can bounce around the ring and do all that sort of stuff, but they also have a good stable. They got, the big dude, fucking Russ Jones, just a monster of a man, Russ Jones. He's out there.
Russ Jones. Love the Russ Jones.
Yeah, you got Shaft, who's doing kind of a similar thing. They got a bunch of big dudes, which is interesting. I like it.
Yeah, for sure. The roster is very, very much varied right now. in AAW.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of different things. They're
trying out a lot of things right now. There's a bunch of dudes that are coming that you've never seen before, that you're seeing for the first time.
Yeah.
And that's cool. That makes it fun and exciting because you're kind of watching their growth. And the cool thing about AAW is, oh, well, this is going to matter. Like what's going on right now with this guy, this matters. This is part of the story. So it makes it even that much more interesting.
Yeah.
All right, then our final topic here, which we will not get into too much because we have a little bit of a plug-a-rooski to do here, but Utami Hayashishita versus Syuri. Syuri, I think is how you pronounce it. Someone's going to correct me, I'm sure. From Stardom. This match has gotten a ton of publicity, Joe. We've had a review on our website. They gave it high marks. It was Alex that did it. We had Scott Edwards that did an entire piece about this. Dave Meltzer put it over. Brian Alvarez put it over. It has gotten a ton of buzz over the last week. This Utami versus Syuri match from Stardom. Match guide rating right now at 9.55 is for the World of Stardom title match. Utami coming into the match with the title. Joe, you have now seen this match.
Yes.
But you're not going to review it on this episode, are you?
I will not comment on the match publicly. Patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling.
Look at you.
$10 tier. I already wrote the review. It's going to be in my next batch of 5 match reviews. I do match reviews in batches of 5. I wrote nearly 400 words on it. The other matches that will be in that review are Filthy Tom Lawler versus Chris Dickinson for the New Japan Strong Openweight title from a few weeks ago, and the TJP versus Kevin Knight New Japan Strong match from 2 weeks ago, and also this match from Stardom, and then 2 other matches to be determined. They'll be the next batch of reviews, but I'm not going to comment on it publicly. I wrote an extensive review. It's getting incredible praise everywhere. Cage match is at 9.55. Grapple earlier today was at 4.63. Rich Craich, what did you give this match?
Yeah, so I was 4.5 on it. I saw a lot of 5s. I can't go 5 all the way. I didn't think it was that good. I didn't think it was 5-star good, but it's fucking tremendous. I thought it was really, really good stuff. There's a lot of matches that get recommended to us. There's a lot of Joshi matches that get recommended to us, and I watch more than people think of them. I always feel bad because people are like, "Oh, Rich, you're gonna love this match," and then I watch it, and I don't think it's very good, and then I decide I don't really want to come on here and just publicly bury this match and say. But there's a few that I'll watch here and there, and there's a few that I've enjoyed, and this was one. This is probably the modern Joshi match that I've enjoyed the most of any I've seen in the last few years. I mean, I thought this was really hard hitting, really good work. I thought the story of the time limit draw, leading into the extension of the match into the double TKO. It goes 43 minutes as well. I mean, it's just, and it never stops going. It's just boom, 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 hard hit, like just a really believable fight as well. And you get that with Syuri, who's a former like UFC fighter, like a legit UFC fighter, like a legit MMA fighter, and Utami can go as well. So I like that it was way more hard hitting than I anticipated. And I thought they did a tremendous job filling the first part of the match, filling up to the time limit draw, and then filling the last half of the match, which was just really, really good. Limb work, really strong work, violent at times, but still, graceful enough without, in that violence. So I thought it was tremendous. Like it's cool to see a match like this get as much publicity as it is. And this is one that's definitely going to pop up on our match of the year at the end of the year. And definitely one, if you get a chance, go out of your way to watch it. And if I'm Stardom, if I was running Stardom, if I was somebody in that knew anything about promoting pro wrestling, this thing gets on our YouTube page as soon as possible. I mean, you gotta capitalize on this. I mean, there's very, very few times that you get this sort of buzz for a match that's only available on pay-per-view or only available on paywalls and only available on this sort of stuff. I know that they probably want to sell pay-per-views, and I know they want to do this, but they have English language. Just upload that thing to YouTube. You know what I mean? Capitalize on this and sell the hell out of all your other stuff. But God, this thing's got to go up on YouTube. People, you got to capitalize on this buzz. That's all I would say about Stardom for that. So anyway, patreon.com/Voice of Wrestling, Joe. We'll touch on it there. You have said, though, this is the teaser to that I don't know if you publicly declared this on Twitter or this was just in Discord or I think it was on Discord. VoiceWrestling.com/Discord. You said, if this one doesn't work for you, if this match doesn't work for you, you are done getting Modern Joshi recommendations. Is that correct?
Yeah, this is the last chance saloon. I mean, told to watch so much of this stuff, and it never. I'm not saying it's always terrible, but it never lands the way people say it's going to land. So this match is, and I've already watched it and I already know what I think of it, but yeah, this is it because, I've been told that this is finally the one that'll be my kind of match and okay, fine. But this is it. I'm not taking these wrecks anymore. Okay, I'll throw people, you want me to throw people one crumb?
I'll throw him a little crumb. Yeah, give him a little taste. Give him a little taste. Patreon.com/voice wrestling. This is going to be on the $1 tier as well, we should note.
Oh, yeah, I am going to put, normally my writing is on the $10 tier. I'm going to put this review on the $1 tier on the trial tier. So you can basically read it for free when it hits. And by the time a lot of people listen to this show, it'll probably be up already. So I am going to put this batch of reviews on the $1 trial tier. I give you one crumb for this match. I will say this about the match. I've never seen either of these people wrestle in my life. I probably haven't watched a started match since Io Shirai was there. So I came in completely blind. And this is going to sound like a weird comment, but as soon as they locked up, I knew within the first 15 seconds of the match that I liked both of these wrestlers more than any Joshi wrestler that has ever appeared in AEW.
Interesting.
How's that for a number?
Yeah, I like it. That's. Yeah, and I see. I get what you're putting down there for sure. I understand what you're saying.
As soon as they locked up, I was like, okay, this is not Riho.
Right.
Now, does that mean I like the match? You got to read and find out.
Right. That's 1 minute in. So that's 13 seconds in. Joe's in. Is he in for another 42 minutes and 35 seconds?
I was able to buy both of these women immediately as, okay, these are physical threats.
Right.
They're not out there in their little skirts doing the idol stuff. These
are badasses. Yeah.
Yes. And I picked up on that energy as soon as they locked up. Now, what happened for the other 51 minutes? The review will be out soon.
There you go. So I enjoyed it. If you get a chance, I would recommend going to check it out. I would recommend also on our website, as I said, we have the review of the actual show itself, and then we have an entire piece about this from Scott Edwards, who I think if you're just jumping in, you have no idea who these two people are, you've no clue. I think Scott does a tremendous job of laying down the groundwork of why you should care about this one, why you should care about this woman, why you should care about this match, and then what actually happened in the match and what kind of comes from the match as well. So if you're just diving in and you say, hey, this sounds kind of interesting, I want to check it out, I cannot recommend enough going in and reading that thing on voicesofwrestling.com from Scott Edwards. It gives you all the background, all the reasons why you should care about the match, and then you can actually watch the match itself. So you can watch it, and then you can decide whether you're like me, or whether you're like Joe, or whether you're like anybody else in the world. But a lot of people really, really love this match. We'll see what Joe thinks when it comes out. Patreon.com/voicesofwrestling. $1 tier for that one. But I enjoyed it. Scott enjoyed it. The Cage Match inmates have enjoyed it. Grapple has enjoyed it. So we'll see. The big question here, and this will be the final straw for Joe if this match doesn't deliver. So there you go. Patreon.com/voices of wrestling. Also, I should mention Patreon.com/voices of wrestling. The beginning of the Slammiversary synopsis. I'm going through each and every Slammiversary main event. I just got done with Slammiversary 2005. That episode is out. That match is awesome. And it's TNA, so we have so much to talk about. Just in that episode alone, we have Jeff and Jerry Jarrett doing a power play to try to scoop up power, and then they're maybe just going to break away and start their own company. We have TNA meeting with Spike and WGN. They're basically locked up with WGN. We're going to have a Monday night time slot. That doesn't work out. Spike says, no, we're not ready yet. You have to wait till WWE's done. And then TNA has to go without a TV for, 6 or 8 months or whatever. So there is a lot going on. Jeff Jarrett bows out of the King of the Mountain match because he doesn't want to lose in his own title match. Jeff Hardy no shows. It's just incredible. So yeah, it's TNA. There'll be a lot to talk about, and we'll talk about the matches as well. A lot of stuff that I've never seen before. A lot of people that I know listeners have not seen before as well. So we're gonna go through Slammiversary main events and VOW Retro for the next month or so. So you got a lot to look forward to at the Patreon.com/voicesofwrestling. That is a tremendous value if I don't say so myself. So
God, so much content back there. We need to put another tier.
Yeah, we're so dumb. We're so dumb. So.
Do you want these Rev Pro Tag League blocks, and then we can wrap this up?
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, let's finish that up. Yeah, give me those.
We got a couple minutes, right? Or
yeah.
we did?
We got a minute. We got a minute or two. Go ahead.
I'll just give it a block. So 2 blocks, 4 teams each for this Rev Pro. They're calling it the Great British Tag League. Okay, this is going to happen in front of crowds. So they're going to spread these matches out.
Oh, so we are in front of crowds. Back at Rev Pro?
Rev Pro is back in front of crowds. At first, it's going to be socially distanced, kind of like early American indie wrestling when it first came back, where it was socially distanced and all that. And then as they're just going to go with where the laws take them as far as how many people they could let in and whatnot. But these will all be in front of paying fans. Here's your A block. Connor Mills and Michael Oku. Lycos and Lycos 2. Ethan Allen and Luke Jacobs. These are two of the new guys that Progress are pushing as well.
Okay, I was going to say I have no idea who these guys are. So
I can tell you that they are technically sound but have zero charisma.
Okay.
They are young. They don't know how to carry themselves in the ring yet. They don't have any charisma, but they can wrestle. They're just technically sound young guys who don't have any kind of crowd connection or anything like that yet. And then the final team is Robbie K and Dean Allmark. That is your A block. Over in the B block, we've got the Legion team led by Lord Gideon Gray of Screwface Ahmed and Lucian Phillips. And then we've got Joel Redman and Charlie Sterling, Chuck Mambo and TK Cooper.
Okay. Ooh, okay.
And my favorite team in the field, JJ Gale and Callum Newman.
Oh, that's a good little team.
Looking forward to that team.
Yeah, that's a good team. Yeah, none of those really light me on. None of them really light me up. But that JJ Gale, that one's good. That's a good ass team right there.
Yeah, Gale and Newman. I mean, I would like to see their match against Redmond and Sterling for sure. Mambo doesn't do a ton for me, but I'm looking forward to TK Cooper getting back in the mix. And the A block's not bad with Mills and Oku and the Lycos guys. The Progress team of Allen and Jacobs, I'm calling them the Progress team because that's what they've been wrestling lately. You'll see what I mean about them. They're a little dry, but there's something there with them. And I think Robbie K and Dean Allmark are a solid team too. So little tag league action for Rev Pro. We had a minute or two to go. So
yeah. They've been good. They've been good over the last year, so I'll definitely check that out. So I've fallen off from them because what have they even been doing over the last few months? I have not.
They've just been wrapping up the tape shows.
Okay.
That's all. So I'm a couple behind. We were keeping up, but then we fell behind, so we stopped on the show talking about them. And I'm still a couple behind, but I'm going to knock those out hopefully in the next week or so.
To get ready for this. Yeah, I'll probably do the same as well. So maybe we can catch up on Rev Pro and talk about them in a few weeks here.
Nothing from Ospreay yet in terms of what he's going to do about the title and whatnot. So no word from him yet. I think they said the first live show he's going to make a statement. So he'll be there with the belt and make a statement in terms of, what he's going to do as far as, whether he's going to vacate the title or, whatever's going to happen with that.
So there you go. That's Rev Pro. And that is the Voices of Wrestling Flagship Podcast. So again, patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling, Slammiversary synopsis, Joe's review of Utami versus Syuri, $1 tier. Thursday tier reviews coming back very soon once they finally go back to Wednesdays and stop running these shows on Fridays. But plenty of other stuff going on at patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling. All of our content available at the $10 tier. $5 tier gets you bonus audio. $1 tier gets you some of those, a little sampling, a little taste, and it gives you the written reviews this week as well. So plenty of other stuff. It gets you the first episode of the Slammiversary synopsis. So if you get $1 tier, man, you're getting an hour of my audio and your reviews for $1. What are we doing? That's dumb. I'm gonna switch that. No, never mind. Anyway, that's it for us. So at Voices of Wrestling on Twitter, voicesofwrestling.com/Discord. Of course, want to thank our sponsor, Manscaped, manscaped.com. Promo code Flagship. Gets you 20% off plus free shipping. So that's it for us. So for Joe Lanza, I'm Rich Craich. We'll talk to you next time on the Voices of Wrestling Flagship.
If we go to page 11 in the presentation, you'll see that... You'll see we're on target to meet our quarterly...
Some things never change, like nobody can resist popping plastic bubbles. And Geico saving folks lots of money on their car insurance.
As I was saying, we're on target to meet... Excuse me, Miss Hansen.
Sorry, almost done.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Lowe's knows you work hard to take on the toughest jobs, so why not treat yourself with savings on the top pro tools that work as hard as you do? Head into Lowe's today for pro summer savings and get up to 30% off select tools and accessories. Lowe's is the home for great values on the most trusted brands like DeWalt, Bosch, and Metabo HPT. Shop in-store or on Lowes.com. Lowe's, the new home for pros. While supplies last, valid through 7/7, U.S. only.